On page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation, there someplace that says that after he took office in 2015, he imposed measures to cut costs. He reduced his own foreign travel and downsized delegations traveling abroad. For example, he controversially cut down the delegation to the Commonwealth meeting in London to 4 from the initial 50. Further, he diverted funds meant for dinners or public celebrations to support the needy and the sick. Magufuli also cut his own salary from 1.5 million Kenya shillings a month to 400 Kenya shillings a month, and halved the cabinet to 15 ministers compared to Kikwete's, who had 30. Several months after his election in 2015, a social media hashtag, "What would Magufuli do?" trended in the region as people in neighboring countries admired his apparent efficiencies. And these are some of the achievements that President Magufuli will be remembered with. But sadly, people are not thinking about that because of, I think, his recent stand when it comes to COVID-19. But those are just some of the few achievements that he was able to achieve while he was the president there of the Republic of Tanzania. Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. I remember Magufuli in a few words. Magufuli was a progressive leader, a true Pan-African to the core, a man that stood for his own country, a man that stood for the flag of Tanzania, a man that stood for their soil. Nobody dared Tanzania in the days of Magufuli. And also, Magufuli has stood with his country, even in the dying days of his administration. Remember when this healthy man just said the coronavirus invaded the world, Magufuli has always stood with his country, as he stood with his people, and has done a lot for their people. The most significant achievement of President Magufuli that I remember is the Kigamboni Bridge. That is very significant for me, and many other development projects, and also the wall that he constructed for the miners in Mrerani. That was very significant. It has also stifled the smuggling of minerals from Tanzania. It has made sure that the smugglers who would smuggle minerals, especially gold from Tanzania, were able to be cut. And also the name that was tarnished in the international community against the Tanzanians and dropped, and also improved the relations with the countries that they suspected that the gold that would be smuggled from their countries came from Tanzania. Another issue on the achievements of President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli was that Magufuli put his country first. This is demonstrated in most cases. He rubbed us in very bad ways as a country, but that stood very well for his own country. He stood and also dedicated his life in the honor and also patriotism of his own country. But I have a small problem with Magufuli's stand on science, and also believe that coronavirus was an hoax, and the problems that he has been able to put to the ordinary Tanzanians. I have friends in Tanzania. Coronavirus has been ravaging and killing the people of Tanzania, while Magufuli has continued. Amidst his achievements as a leader, as a Pan-Africanist, Magufuli has continued denying, even in his own death. I think he has denied the existence of coronavirus. When he told people to take a concoction of purpose and other things and the lemons, Magufuli read down the people of Tanzania. Many poor people have died in Tanzania. We cannot celebrate them because they are not put on our national television. They are ordinary Tanzanians who continue dying because of this virus. Another thing that I criticize the former administration of John Pombe Joseph Magufuli was the stifling of the media freedom and also political agitation and activities. Magufuli made sure that people like Tundu Lissu have disappeared from their country, so many others in their country, and also the shooting of Tundu Lissu was not the nicest thing Magufuli would have done. And Miriam, we have lost a very great Pan-African, we have lost a great leader. May his soul rest in peace, and may God repose his soul in eternal peace. Thank you, Miriam.
Yes, indeed. Quite a mixed bag there of how we will all remember President John Pombe Magufuli. Professor, how do you remember the now late President of the Republic of Tanzania?
Yeah, Miriam, that's a question I could have wished that you spared not ask me. But let me just, because me, I speak the truth. I don't lie. You know that. I don't like you in life. I will not like you in death. And if I speak so many other things and people who have been following me, they will find and say that this man is a madman. But let me just take this opportunity to pass my sympathy and condolences to the people of Tanzania as they mourn and grieve the loss of their leader. I cannot deny that he was not a leader in East Africa, neither in Africa. I will not be fair to history. The only duty now we hold President John Pombe Magufuli is to open the ground and lay him there to rest as we look forward for the soon return of Jesus Christ. And one thing which I can remember him, whether wrong or right, John Pombe Magufuli will speak his mind. I rest my case there, Miriam. I don't want to say many other things. He will speak his mind. Whether you like him or not,
yes.
That's who he was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and me and you have been really going very hard on Tanzania's President John Magufuli. I'm really trying to just hold my breath this morning and just be kind, because the man has just died and the people in Tanzania are mourning, and we're joining them in their mourning. But also, truth must be spoken this morning, because remember, well, the government, the vice president came out yesterday from that video we just watched and said he passed on through the complications, heart complications. And why did they not bring out this information before, Douglas? Why was it shrouded with a lot of secrecy there? And by the way, I do not believe that statement from the vice president. The only part of the statement I believe is Pombe Magufuli is dead. The rest, I don't believe that.
Miriam, we need to understand that John Pombe Magufuli presidency was shrouded in a lot of mystery, and also a stifling of freedoms of people that would speak up. I'm one of those people that believe Magufuli did not even die in Tanzania, but Tanzanians...
Go ahead. A doctor will come in. Go ahead.
And I'm one of those people that believe that Tanzanians have been able to be stifled in such a way that they cannot be able to raise their voices. I believe Magufuli death should have been told, should be a very open secret to the people of Tanzania. If President Kenyatta disappears from State House even for a single day, Kenyans would be demanding to know where he is. Remember, we have a lawyer in Nairobi when he was an MP, when Moi and disappeared for some time. Paul Muite said, we should be told where the president is so that we can prepare for a by-election. By noon, President Moi was found at Kenyatta Market buying bananas, so that Kenyans, you cannot hide such information from Kenyans. This Magufuli administration was an administration that sat on the freedoms of people to express themselves freely. Even in Tanzania today, this morning, you cannot say the president died of coronavirus or any related diseases. You cannot say that, because they will tell you that he died of heart condition and you'll be taken to prison. There is a young man of my age who was taken to prison when he said John Pombe Magufuli has died. And it's true, Magufuli had died. But the young man is having some time in prison. But the transparency of African governments, remember when the president of Malawi, Bingwa Mutharika, died, they had to put that lie that he has not died, he has gone to South Africa, and they had carried the body all the way to South Africa, the state of taxpayers. We need governments to be more transparent, Miriam, and also to be more proactive in terms of how their leaders respond to issues, and especially how they govern themselves. I wish all the best to Samia Suluhu Hassan, the president, the incoming president of Tanzania, and I hope that she continues upholding the media freedoms that Magufuli and stifled before, and also allowing the people who have gone for political asylum abroad to come back to Tanzania and build a better Tanzania. Because, Miriam, these things cannot be accepted in Africa when our leaders are sick. We are not told they are sick. When they die, over 5 days later, our leaders are still dead. We cannot be told they are dead. We can only be right to that they died this morning. And Miriam, those things are things that continue bringing us the bad side about us. We don't want to accept reality. If our leaders passed on, come out clearly, tell the people the leader has gone, so that we can prepare for the next phase, because Tanzanians have to move on, the world has to move on, Miriam, and it is for us who are left by, so that we can be able to live, Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And despite of all of that, President late now, Pombe Magufuli, did a lot for the people of Tanzania, and they will remember him for his development record there. And before I bring a doctor in, under Magufuli, the IMF listed Tanzania among the fastest growing sub-Saharan economies, averaging 6%. Last year, World Bank admitted the country into the list of lower middle income economies, although the final process is due to be finalized by the end of 2023. Magufuli has built halt various infrastructure projects such as Bagamoyo Port, the planned oil pipeline from Uganda, the standard gauge railway, and capital inject into Air Tanzania. Yet Tanzania's ranking on the Corruption Perception Index has been struck, polling at 94 out of 180 countries in 2020. A report by Reporters Without Borders, which ranks countries according to their press freedom, noted that Tanzania was the most regressed country in press freedoms. Doctor, you were continuing with the eulogy there before you were interrupted. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let's leave ideology. Now I have seen the balancing of the panel. I've seen my friend Professor Onyari trying to run away from the truth, but yet he says the truth all the time. Don't. At times of trial, tribulations, we still stick together. And I am going to be together. I will not lose my friends. I will not succumb to any external pressure. That's what I told the leader of opposition this morning. I told him in his face, reconcile. Now, this is the time for reconciliation. In Africa, we don't dance on people's graves. All of you here, African younger people, listen to me. When Matanga is gone, don't dance on my grave, because I could come back for you. Yes, yes, yes. Some spirits are very strong. You might think you are dancing on the grave of Magufuli, then tomorrow it is you. Death in Africa and everywhere is normal, but it's not taken normal in Africa. That you come and dance over the grave of the dead and tell him that he was a very bad man. That's why you see all these obituaries that people do. Have you seen people saying he was a wizard? He was a night runner, night dancer. We keep those quiet things for the clan to cleanse itself. And I want people here who want to criticize Magufuli to look at the best side of Magufuli. One, if I want to ask the panel, and including Miriam, that when the president of Philippines and Onyari, today I want you to answer me this. I bet I'll send you a kilo of sugar, because you don't drink, I also don't drink. We shall drink on the tea. If the president of Philippines dies today, a man who removed cocaine, the root of cocaine, and went out to fight cocaine barons, stopped cocaine, stopped the Philippines from being a transit center for American cocaine and other countries' conduit. What would you do? What will you do? You condemn him? You condemn him? None of you would condemn him. But the people who don't like him, Americans, will condemn him. But yet, where does the cocaine go from Philippines? Let's be honest. Let's challenge ourselves as Africans. Cocaine from Philippines is sold to America. From America is sold to Philippines. Isn't it, Onyari? You're a professor, you hold professorship. You are telling me a lie you don't know?
I've said
you don't know. Magufuli stood for the truth. Magufuli wiped out corruption. Magufuli did a great job. Every human being has got one fault. That's why God created Matanga 6.1 feet and Onyari almost 7 feet tall. Am I wrong?
You're right.
Had God created us equal, the world would not move an inch. That's why God created Karanja to be in Nanyuki, and I'm in London. That's why God created Mr. Douglas to be in Meru, and I'm in Ottawa. That's why God created Miriam to be in Nairobi. At a particular time, we would not be the same. What wrong has Magufuli done, which everybody has not done? Who is among us, all of us here, condemning Magufuli, who is not a sinner? Throw your first stone. Were you wearing masks before? Were you washing your hands before? Were you keeping a distance before? Do you keep a distance today? Do you wear your mask 24 hours? Wacha tuambiane ukweli leo. Magufuli might have made a mistake, but Magufuli has good things that he delivered to the people of Tanzania. He wiped out corruption. I asked my brother Tundu. Tundu was a businessman. NGO money. Yes. Yes. I don't want to, my friend, tomorrow, because I just respected that TV today. Also check some of these guys go and get money from NGOs. Bring the money in Tanzania to destabilize Tanzania. Walaya Mungu nyenye. Wa Tanzania wenzi yangu. Mwamuke nchi yenu inavamilia na watu wale wa NGOs wamekuja wengi. Wanataka kuchukua nchi hiyo. Where was Lundu getting money from? Let him show me one factory. Let him show me one factory. We friends of Pombe Magufuli are not going to keep quiet. I am one. The mistake he made was very simple. He made a mistake of not telling people that truly COVID-19 is real. It is real. It kills. Let people wear the masks. But I've asked you a great question by the Bible. Throw one stone if you are not a sinner. Come out and tell me you are not. Onyari and I and Miriam and the rest, we observe these conditions. How many people in the world are observing them? But even when you observe these conditions, when God has said you go, you go. The letter to the Romans by Paul, he addressed Romans. I don't know which chapter down there, but I read the Bible. Onyari will correct me. He said, you Romans, you don't hear. You tell wrong stories. You told fake news about Jesus. You don't know who Jesus is. Yes, you distort the image of Jesus. Imwe abarumi, mutira abantu mu bantu, lwokuba mwagala okufuna erinnya. You want to kill people. You want to tell about people because you want a name. NGOs in Africa are regime changing. Miriam, I told you 2.5 years and 4 days ago, I've counted them. My records are very clear and you know my head is very clear. I told you the first after 4 days when you came to work with me. I said, Miriam, there will be 14 countries in sub-Saharan Africa that will be left with chaos. And I mentioned the countries. You go back to that clip, and God is watching me up here, and I'm raising my hands. Oh, God, help me. Go back to that clip and see the countries I mentioned if you don't find the chaos. In Kenya, you are lucky. that this chaos is not coming closer because we are on guard. We are on guard. We make noise on Punchline Africa TV. The NGOs run scared. Mr. Kekoro, a relative of a neighbor of Mr. Professor Onyari, is George Soros' man. They look alike. Yes. George Soros' man. These are people bringing the dollar here. Lundu is George Soros' man. NGO money coming to destabilize an African country. I have been in politics of opposition since 1985. I have never received a penny from any NGO to oppose Museveni. I want to stand clear on that. Instead, and I have never called for any sanctions to be brought against Uganda, despite the fact, and I know the sanctions will kill my people million. But we have a very bad syndrome of African leaders dancing on people's graves. When a man in Africa has died, just go and inherit the wife. If you have been looking for the wife. Quietly. Yeah. Don't come to dance on the grave of Magufuli. He delivered, wiped out corruption. If one of you will answer my question, that man of Philippines, you see, why did the Americans allow the man of Philippines? That the president of Philippines, William, is very good at pronouncing such names. For you, I am not.
Duterte.
Name. Yes, that
Duterte.
president of
Philippines.
Yes, that guy there. He got all cars, property, Porsche. What? He smashed the ring of an American cocaine conduitism, which embassy has been telling people to evacuate Tanzania, America. Don't travel to Tanzania, America. Don't do this. One of the things as a Pan-African, and I want to teach you, do you know these guys don't forgive?
And forget.
No. They don't forgive, they don't forget. And I want to tell you why. Magufuli is being victimized for following Nyerere's principles. Why haven't they victimized Thabo Mbeki? Who said there was no AIDS? You remember Thabo Mbeki said there was nothing like AIDS. Haven't you seen Thabo Mbeki being given a platform everywhere? Why haven't they victimized Zuma? Who brought Zuma to power? They're the French. I visited Tanzania 6 years ago. Not 6 years ago on one important mission. I wanted to meet my friends. And today, let me tell you this. 5 years ago, not that I visited 6 years ago, I've been visiting Tanzania. It's one of mine home when I want to rest from all these scuffles of uncoordinated troop movement of intellectualism and the brains. There's the brains insulting you every morning. Look at this. When I reached Tanzania, Kilimanjaro Hotel, I saw over the whole hotel, which is now called Hyatt. Miriam, the hotel was booked by almost 90% French. French nationals that they are constructing a railway, a road and to nowhere. So I sat down, and as you know, as an investigative journalist, This is a true story, record to me. I sat down and the French, they say, where do you come from? I come from here. This is my card. Take it. I'm a chairman of this Pan-African Party. So I asked one of the French colonels. I said, you are a colonel and you are digging a road? He said, yes. Our construction company is military. So my friend who has died since then, who was a Minister of Foreign Affairs of Tanzania by then, Dr. Maiga, and another friend of mine, the Director of Intelligence of Tanzania, who were my friends. I called them later in the evening. They came to see me. Then I asked them, one, the foreign minister, that what are these soldiers doing here? What are they digging? What? A road to where? Are these people, they are employed by Total Oil, and their badges is Total Oil. One of them put the badge on table while we were having a beer. By then I was drinking beer. And it was Total Oil. Then I said, what is the problem of these guys? After a few months, Miriam and the French cancelled the Lapset Lochiga pipeline between Kenya and the Uganda. They said they are going to fund Tanzania. Then Tanzania said, okay, thank you very much. They welcomed them. Tanga Mwanza will be the best. I'm bringing this point for people to understand the good things that Magufuli stood. Magufuli stood in the middle. Now Magufuli was caught up between a hard place, a hard place, and the Indian Ocean. Either he had to sink or swim across, but not to sink. He had French people, he had the Chinese, he had some other countries with interest. The point I'm bringing home, when Nyerere made people to go in Ujamaa villages, Miriam, remember Tanzania was based on a communist style of leadership. The West has not forgiven Tanzania. The West came closer to forgiving Tanzania under Kikwete. The West heightened the speed, removed a few bottlenecks under Mkapa, under Mwinyi. But under Kikwete, who is my friend also, very close, he knows me, Matanga, unataka nini hapa leo? Unakuja kwa nini? The West, slackened. Lots of sanctions. Tanzania was given the tribunal. Tanzania supported half ICC. You get the point. That type of democracy of NGO was beginning to come to Tanzania. But it was coming to people, Miriam and Professor, as I conclude, the people who were not NGOs. Tanzanians were indoctrinated. It is only Tanzania on this continent which has got a social contract. Why? Yes, it's poor, but they have a social contract. You cannot go to Tanzania and insult the government without people asking you why you are insulting the government. They will check on you. Forget about the urban dwellers like Elundu, Tundu, the opposition, Chadema. Who funded Chadema? Who funds Chadema? Who funds Chadema? Go and look at the records of who has been funding Chadema to disorganize the CCM. Who? George Soros. George Soros. I told you that if you're a leader in Africa and you have a revolutionary party like a CCM. Didn't I say it immediately? I'm here on the show. Didn't I say it? That if you have a party, CCM, ZANU-PF, MPLA, Frelimo, KANU and NRM, all those revolutionary parties, I said it on this show. Be careful. Be careful. Because there is an external darker force that wants to destabilize Africa. In Kenya, they have tried. In Kenya, Uhuru brings BBI. They have now told Katiba, Linda Katiba, that oppose, bring the state of despondency. A state of despondency amongst Kenyans. Tell Kenyans you need a wheelbarrow. And you drive in, fly in a helicopter. But these other people need a wheelbarrow, which walks like a snail. But you will fly and reach faster to see us, then you come back. In Kenya, they have come in forms of opposition, which you are going to see. You know it. In Tanzania, they came in that. Having said that, I don't want to leave this stage without saying there were some faults. And I believe my viewers will not be happy if I don't say there were faults. But as Africans, let's look at these faults to teach us a lesson. Some faults, like not declaring COVID-19 a disaster, that was a fault. That was a fault and a bad part on Magufuli. As Africans, we must learn to be transparent, to declare our leaders are ours. A leader, however conservative we are, when a leader falls sick in Africa, don't create a vacuum. Don't take people's steps, take them to Lake Victoria, bring them to Indian Ocean, throw them in the Ruvuma River. Have you seen that? Throw them in the Ruvuma River. Then bring them back to Dodoma. Then tell them, go to Chigoma. Then tell them, go to Ujiji. Then bring them to Morogoro. Then finally, bring them to the Salam Hospital. Onyali will not mark my results and give me a certificate if I did not balance this essay. Miriam will be very upset if I did not balance the essay. But, and let me be the speaker on this, but a lesson must be learned today. That when a leader gets sick, a leader of Africa is not your personal property. You are no longer a leader of the country, of your family. We must be public, but at the same time, keep national security intact. I like, Miriam, guess what? I like, under Professor Nyari, I like the Tanzanian intelligence system. They kept you, all of us, the world guessing. Yes. How many presidents go for 2 months? You see the man of North Korea addressing you every day. You know what he eats. Look at that. How many leaders go there and they say, okay, I am in the bedroom, my leg is up. No, the Tanzanian intelligence this time got it very right. They wanted to ascertain the security, enormous outside external dark forces that had infiltrated their system, from external George Soros funding spree that spreads across East Africa. And let me warn all East African states, those watching me, and those who want to be part and parcel of a struggle tomorrow, that don't rely on external money to disrupt your own country. Don't call for sanctions to kill your own country. We have seen leaders like Morgan Changarai. They have already died and they are in heaven or hell. But they called for sanctions to kill Zimbabwe. If they came back and saw what they called, they will regret. If you are in opposition, like Lundu, be in opposition, but be constructive. You don't celebrate the death of your own man in Africa. It could be you tomorrow. Yes, you know you are hurt. Someone wanted to assassinate you, 16 bullets. You escaped, God kept you alive. But you might have also cheated some people from NGO money. Yeah. Wajambazi. Then you become, this is not very good politics. You don't jump around because Magufuli has died. Give Magufuli a sending, deserves what he deserves. Let's give him a final journey. Every human being makes mistakes. But Magufuli removed the corruption, like the leader of Philippines removed the corruption. And the drugs, Americans can't touch him. What can they do? Nothing. He doesn't travel to America. He says he doesn't need anything. Everything he needs is in the Philippines. What to do? What can you do? What to do? What to do? What to do? You are useless in your America. Sit there. But he finished the drugs that passed through Port Manila. In Manila. He finished them. Is there any problem with drugs being eradicated? When Uhuru Kenyatta stood up and blew up a ship full of drugs in Indian Ocean, you are all Kenyans on this panel. Show me another drug ship that arrived. Show me. Show me the action by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to blow a ship full of drugs that kill people, sent a message to those so-called human rights defenders. Oh, my leg is broken. Let it break if there is the need to save a country. You can't pick money from drugs. Come and politicize people. You can't trade from bad maize. Come and politicize people. You get money from bad maize, which is still lying in Kisumu. And then you come around and tell people, right on social media, our maize is blocked from Uganda. President Museveni came up on radio, TV. You heard it, all of you. Don't pretend you did not hear. Museveni said the Kenyan authorities were right. Yeah. Because the chemical, the Ugandan farmers, they did not prepare the maize properly. That's what the president said. I give a credit where it is due. You can kill me if you want. I support what is good. I can't say he did not say it. He said the Kenyan authorities are right to stop that maize. Because the maize had a chemical which Miriam can pronounce very well. Afro something. Anybody on the panel can pronounce for me.
Aflatoxin.
I don't like it.
Aflatoxin.
Yes, something like that. That's it. We are enemies of our own. Miriam, we are enemies, and that is one of the bottom law of what Magufuli went through. He did not advise his people to protect. A general who does not advise his people to protect from a disease or bullets that are going to be killing them does not lose his honor only, but remains with his honor for the other services he did. So he has gone down a hero, a Pan-African hero. To the NGOs that smell Kenya, there are NGOs smelling Kenya. Like this, we want. Like, have you seen the dogs coming? A dog is following there are NGOs smelling Kenya and the Uganda and other countries. The agencies that monitor this, be watchful. I want to conclude by saying we are going to join the whole Africa in the next phase to give our points on Magufuli. The topic that is coming next will also, more or less, nobody can discuss conflict without talking about where the conflict comes from. Miriam, I have taken the whole of that time to rest most of your throats. Let me now take this opportunity to say and conclude by saying, Tanzania was a home to most of us who received the liberation. Tanzania is a country that needs to be guided, but there is a very big crisis, if not well contained. The Constitution of Tanzania in Article 37, subsection 5, says the Vice President takes over to finish an expired period or term. I believe the people of Tanzania will look at Mama Suluhu. She comes from the island. It is the first time in the history of Tanzania that the president has died from the mainland. I think it's the second time, yes. Because Mwinyi, who took over from, yes, Mwinyi, took over from Nyerere. This is another history, but it is the first time in the history of Tanzania that a woman from the island of Zanzibar is able to be the vice president and subsequently the president of the Republic of Tanzania. So we want to pray for our brothers of Tanzania that Mama Suluhu has the qualities, the inertia, the energy, the courage, the determination, the patriotism, the sense of social contract that prevails in Tanzania, that unites Tanzania. Unlike nchi jirani ziko na mvurugano, nchi jirani za Tanzania tuko na mavurugano ya siasa. Nataka kuomba wenzi yangu wa Tanzania, msigawanyike sasa hivi. Saa hii tunataka tukue na umoja, tuendeshe nchi yetu pamoja. Tusikie sauti ya founding fathers wetu Nyerere, tusikie sauti za wale wa vikuwako wenye waliunga nchi na muungano ya Tanzania. Tuendelee na amani na upendo, na pamoja tukue watu wa moja wa East African region. Nchi zetu zote tuko watu pamoja, tuko watu moja. Lakini kusema ukweli, mambo ya siasa na mambo ya demokrasia ndio nagawanya sisi huko na huko, lakini sisi wote tuko watu wa moja. Sisi wote baba yetu moja, culture zetu moja, customs zetu moja, lugha zetu moja. Kiswahili ambayo mnazungumza ni Kiswahili yangu ya Uganda, lakini mimi niliishi huko Msasani makati ya 78 na 9. Nijua Kiswahili yangu ilikuwa sanifu. Kwa hivyo naomba kwa saa hii, kama tuko kwa morning period, we congratulate the President of the Republic of Kenya, where Miriam is, for having sent message of condolences to His Excellency, the President and the Vice President of Tanzania. We thank you very much for the cooperation of East African community, the integration of Africa and the greater Africa. I beg to move a moving tribute that was Magufuli made good strides of showing good leadership qualities, but made some few errors as human. Let's forgive him. He's gone home to rest with the Maker, and let's make Tanzania united. Let's now preach safe masks. Let's now preach wash your hands. Let's now preach keep a distance. Let's now preach Corona is real. If you have underlying disease, you will not go out of a ventilator. It will bring you down. It is real. If you don't have an underlying disease, you will come back. But keep yourself firm. Stand firm. Wash your hands. Take the advice, SOPs. I see people in Kampala, and I will not leave without talking about Kampala. Miriam, if you give me 1 minute, you are telling people to demonstrate. Okay, we lost an election. The election, I'm also one of those who has struggled since 1985, before my brother was born. We have lost an election. I told him not to go into this election. God is watching me up here. I predicted and I said, don't go into this election. I told Besigye, don't take part into this election. Because the election was already fixed. Now we have done an election. Now we are under NGO instructions. We go under kneel, that we demonstrate by kneeling. Kneeling. The bullet does not wait for you to kneel. We don't want our people to die. We don't want property to be destroyed. We can wait for another 5 years. We can wait. Let Ugandans take this message serious. It is this mouth that fought for parties to return. It is this mouth here. Not Stella Nyanzi, not any of those guys. It is Matanga and others who have perished, who fought for political parties to return. Jesus basically opposed them. Yes, yes. We have not said the truth. And the people go on, Miriam, creating confusion. We made them make this subject correct. I fought for parties to return to Uganda. Over BBC. Go and check my records. You will see them. So when Magufuli died, there are people saying so many things. But let's check. Should we now demonstrate under COVID-19? If if you are condemning Magufuli, how do you call your forces to come out in Kampala to demonstrate? Miriam, as I live, how you condemn Magufuli for not allowing Tanzanians to die, but you are calling upon Ugandans to come in big numbers to demonstrate for democracy. What is democracy? Does my mother eat democracy? My mother needs to survive. My mom is 90 years old. She needs to survive. Democracy is there, yes. But democracy that is perpetuated, sent by the Western Empire hemisphere to come and cause mayhem on African continent is what Magufuli stood against. Go ye, go ye, go ye, Baba. Go ye Magufuli. Go and meet the Maker. If there is anybody who is not a sinner in Africa, throw your stone. You did your best. You delivered Africa. You are Pan-African. Thank you very much. May your soul rest in peace, John Pombe Magufuli. Thank you, Professor Onyadi. We can have a chat over coffee. And Hamad is out. But at least I've balanced the essay by saying there were some bad things. But well done.
Miriam, let me just have a very quick 2-sentence rebuttal. Dr. Masanga was very careful to what I said. I said I've sent my sympathy and condolences to the people of Tanzania as they mourn the loss of their great leader, as we wait for the soon return of Jesus Christ, and we shall meet on the resurrection morning. And I proceeded to say, Dr. Masanga, the duty now we owe is to open the ground and put Magufuli to rest. And I said so many things about him during the election and the other things. So I cannot turn again today and eat my own words.
Thank you. You have done very well, Miriam.
Me and you, Professor. Yeah. All right. So we are also joined by
your throats. Thank you.
We're also joined by
Let's
Samuel.
just move to the next issue.
We're also joined by Samuel Tawish this morning from Nairobi. Samuel, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, indeed. But it's not that a good morning in Africa, and more specifically in Tanzania, because of the sad news of the demise of our beloved President of Tanzania, John Pombe Magufuli. And I think I want to join the rest of the panelists and the entire Kenyans in actually registering our condolences to the people of Tanzania, to the family of the late President John Pombe Magufuli, and to the entire East African community for the loss of the gallant son of Africa. Indeed, President John Pombe Magufuli has actually demonstrated a true leadership, great leadership of immense inspiration to the entire African continent. And his loss is actually a great loss for the people of Africa.
Yes, indeed. And of course, his leadership and his achievements there in Tanzania are quite, it's something that he will leave to be remembered. But also, his latest move to refuse to acknowledge the presence of COVID-19. And right now, I think the vice president there came out and said that he died from heart complications. Personally, I don't believe that, because I just don't believe that. They refused to give us the information before, and so I have no reason to believe anything the government there of Tanzania said, because they've been operating in secrecy. But the only part I believe from the vice president there is when she said President Pombe Magufuli is dead. And of course, we continue to send our condolences to the people of Tanzania. Indeed, it's quite a loss, and he was quite a force to reckon with, especially in this region. And Magufuli stood for what he believed until the end, so we respect him for that. But also, the move that he take to downplay COVID-19, on my own opinion, I thought that was very selfish of him. And as he dies, I think he'll take a lot of Tanzanians to the grave with him. Don't you think so, Javan?
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. And it's so unfortunate that the Republic of Tanzania, through the leadership of John Pombe Magufuli, denied the existence of COVID-19 as a reality. Therefore, Miriam, we might not have the facts or the data, but what I predict and my opinion is that there is a number of people in Tanzania, a big number per se, who are suffering silently from COVID-19. Because Miriam, when in our country, Kenya, we went for a partial lockdown, in Tanzania, they were still operating and going on with their business. Therefore, I suspect the rate of infection was high. And with that wave of COVID-19, I also feel like a high number of people have been infected with COVID-19. Therefore, I hope across Africa, with the one or two mistakes that Magufuli did, African leaders will learn something and ensure that when a new disease or crisis occurs globally, we need to take the precautions, we need to prepare adequately so that we avoid such kind of misfortunes that come when we are ignorant. Because Miriam, as they say, ignorance has no remedy. Therefore, sometimes I see that was quite not in the right move to deny the existence of COVID-19. Because Miriam, we say preventing is better than cure. Therefore, I urge also the other African country to make sure that they disseminate this information to the public so that they can prepare, so that they can take precautions and ensure that they protect themselves. Because when you protect yourself, you're also protecting your neighbor. And that is how we curb the spread of COVID-19. Therefore, to answer your question directly, yes, some Tanzanians might have gone to graves with Magufuli, but we don't know whether Magufuli died from COVID complications because of information we are getting is heart attack. But there has been a lot of speculation. And I come on the government and the intelligence is good to disseminate information to the public to avoid creating rooms for speculation, for assumptions, because sometimes we may make assumptions and speculation that are not right. Therefore, the government, when a president fell sick, let this information be made public, because there's no need to make this information public. But when the president was ailing, nobody cared to ensure that the public is aware of what is happening to their president. Therefore, that is something that we as Africans and African leadership should put into consideration, because presidents and government leadership, they are part and they represent the electorates who voted them, and the electorate have a right to know what is happening. It might be private, but in such critical conditions, the public needs to know to avoid those kind of complications. Because now, Miriam, to convince the people around other African countries that Magufuli has not died out of COVID complications is quite hard, because they have already occupied the space that was left vacuum, and they have created all these kind of rumors that we're getting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And right now, of course, the Vice President, Ms. Samia Suluhu, will be sworn in as the president there, or will be there until the end of this term, according to Tanzania's constitution. She will serve the rest of the years remaining. That is almost 5 years, because remember, President Magufuli was just re-elected in October. So he's been in office for about, 4 months there. So Samia Suluhu will serve until the 5 years are over. And that is according to the constitution of Tanzania. And outside of the wonderful things President Pombe Magufuli has done, he's also remembered on stifling the freedom of media in Tanzania. He stifled the relationship in the East African community. Under his rule, Kenya and Tanzania has had an acrimonious relationship. And so these are also things that we have to look at, because he was a leader. And so as we look at the good part also, unfortunately, we have to look at everything, because he was a leader. All right. Thank you so much for watching. We'll take a break and we shall be back with more show for you. My name is Miriam Mugutu. Good morning.
Tanzania forward, and also steer the East African community to closer integration. On the continental stage, the late President Magufuli was a champion of Pan-Africanism. In the passing on of President Magufuli, I have lost a friend, a colleague, and a visionary ally, whom I worked closely, particularly on our commitment to forge lasting bonds between Kenya and Tanzania. In honor of the life of His Excellency the late John Pombe Magufuli, and in recognition of his strong legacy and in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the United Republic of Tanzania, wider East African community, and the whole of Africa, who are in deep mourning following the loss of an outstanding son of Africa. Therefore, I, Uhuru Kenyatta, under the authority vested in me as the President of the Republic of Kenya, and public grounds, and wherever else throughout the entire territory of the Republic of Kenya, and at all Kenya's diplomatic missions abroad, from today, Thursday, the 18th of March, 2020.
Today, Kenya is faced with a dilemma. A dilemma caused by succession politics of 2022. A country beaten by forces of peace, unity, against forces of impunity, bad politics, and tribal politics. The good forces of peace, unity, national reconciliation, led by President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, want to live a united, prosperous, one person, one nation, one country called Kenya. The body forces led by Deputy President William Ruto want to live a divided, broken, damaged, dismembered Kenya without unity or purpose. Kenya today stands at cliffhanger politics. A cliffhanger politics of Machiavellian nature, where at night we praise the devils. During the daytime, we praise the leaders. We go back at night, damage the leadership. That's where Kenya is today. Whichever divide you are, there is only one way out. One way out of this quagmire is to stick to a redemption strategy. Any conflict resolution expert on this panel, like Professor Onyari, will tell you the only way out to save this nation from sinking to the another chaos is to bring out the 9 points of the BBI. All of you know the 9 points of BBI. They touch national ethos, national bad elections. It is a cocktail of disaster that the two leaders saw that the four made them to shake hands and to bring it to the table, that for Kenya to conduct another election in this country without cleaning the national electoral mechanisms, the disaster will be worse than it was before. That for Kenya to go without national healing, reconciliation, accountability, restitution, reparation, truth-telling, forgiveness. We are staring at a disaster if we don't do a reconciliation now and never. It is now and never. Embarking on an early campaign has brought us to where we are. President Uhuru Kenyatta told people to concentrate on nation building. We abandoned the nation building ventures. We have gone on personal crusade ventures. We have gone on the same path where we believe we glorify corruption and glorify many things that are not glorifiable. It is sad, therefore, for my people of Kenya. It is also a call to the people of Kenya. Either they choose to go with the redemption strategy or they perish. The choice remains the choice of the people of Kenya. If you want to go with a redemption strategy of Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta of uniting this nation, that so be it. If you want to go with obsession of 2022 politics, even when there is no referee, and even when there is no competitor, yet the choice is yours. But at the end of the day, the citizens of this country are tired. If you don't see the fatigue that has come amongst the citizens who are being used as wheelbarrow pushers, who are being used as machines that will break in a day and you don't have any spare part to repair it, but it was done for PR, it is up to you. Do you empower people to push a wheelbarrow, or you empower people with knowledge? During this COVID-19, Rwanda, as a country that was besieged by the same disease that we see here, the disease of a creation of a hustler versus a dynasty. It is not different from the disease of a Tutsi versus a Hutu. You are not seeing what I'm seeing. Oh ye Kenyans, believe me, believe in me. You are not seeing what I'm seeing. You have created a narrative of a hustler versus a dynasty. It is like a Tutsi versus a Hutu versus a Tutsi. Look ye ahead. Look ye ahead in the horizon and see what is coming in 2022. It will be the battle of those that you want to eliminate against those who will be defending themselves. If you don't take my notes here, I will carry my dust. As the Bible said, go away with my dust. Because I see, from my vision, I can see we are on a wrong path. We have about to cross the red line. We are creating sections. We are fragmenting a state. We are dismembering a state. We are creating hurtling. Our train is hurtling towards one word. And that one word is conflict. That one word, my panel, is conflict. We better stop the train hurtling towards conflict and stop it now. Thank you.
The government of Kenya is keen on the development of social economic infrastructure to support the realization of the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The ambitious infrastructure projects are aimed at opening up the country for business and bolster productivity, particularly in the agricultural, manufacturing and the service industry, as this would bolster employment opportunities. Part of these critical infrastructure projects include the ongoing 27-kilometer expressway linking Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Nairobi's Westlands. Upon completion, the expressway will exponentially reduce travel times within Nairobi and thus help the country save man-hours, which is being lost in the traffic jams on a daily basis. The Lake Victoria Port Modernization Project to increase cargo handling capacity of the port and to increase Kenya's bilateral and multilateral trading within the region. The expansion of healthcare facilities to facilitate fruition of the country's universal healthcare coverage under the Big Four agenda. By speeding up movement of people and goods, the government is aiming to promote trading through reduction of travel times and costs.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, wherever you are watching us from your home or your office. Good morning in Africa. Thank you very much for watching this show, the Diplomatic Leaks, right from the political command center of Punchline Africa television in London. Thank you. Good morning. In Nairobi, we have Miriam Ogutu at the general headquarters. And as you know, today, Miriam will take the session. I will contribute. We shall be co-hosts of this session. Conflicts in Africa, do they come because of what? But this topic has been overtaken by events. I don't know, because we had to change the format this morning when we had the news of the death of President Magufuli of Tanzania. The topic also rhymes with topics. The topic rhymes with quite a lot of what we are going to say today. What we are going to say today actually matches with what Magufuli stood for, the late president of Tanzania. Things came from outside. COVID was not born on Africa, the continent. It is killing most of our people today. Many loved ones we have just seen in the news. It's killing journalists, it's killing everybody. This is very, very difficult to say when and how. I just want to say, is Africa prepared? How far are you prepared to take such news? Violence that leads to conflicts that we see on the continent. We shall look at the case study of Mozambique. But since it is linked with Tanzania, again you will see that the rebels are in the northern part of Mozambique and the southern part of Tanzania. And today Tanzania faces a challenge. Their president has perished. And the reports coming from there also indicate the one who was supposed to take over is not feeling well. You could hear from her voice, she needs either because of fatigue or because of distress. We pray for that nation, Tanzania. But we want to thank the countries like Zimbabwe that have come out openly and talked about COVID-19, that have put programs for COVID-19, that have managed. How prepared are you in a situation? You see, COVID now has also become a conflict. COVID is a conflict between man and the disease. It has caused conflicts. You can see a country runs for 2 weeks without knowing where your head of state is. It creates a conflict. Onyali will tell you how many types of conflicts are on this continent. I want to welcome Abigail Mupambi, Samuel Tewish, a veteran. Abigail Mupambi is a veteran human rights activist, a veteran person who knows how NGOs sabotage countries across Africa. Today she will be in a position to tell us why African countries are targeted. Abigail, welcome to the show. Abigail.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Doc. Thank you, colleagues, and of course, viewers.
Thank you very much from Harare. Samuel Tawish, a veteran journalist, a broadcaster. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Diplomatic Leaks.
Good morning, Dr. Masanga and the rest of the panelists over there. Thanks so much for joining.
Mr. Maganza, our man of the day, always the old general himself, will never let us down. Welcome to the show from Harare.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, all the panelists. Thank you for having me on this program today.
Our son of soil who keeps our souls and very clean and prays for us when we go astray. And says, and even hides and says he can't say anything more than this on this day. Professor Gerard Onyari, today you have inspired me never to say more than that what I know. So thank you very much, Professor Gerard Onyari.
Hallelujah.
And down in Nanyuki, Kenya, Javan Karanja, veteran journalist. A veteran journalist who says as it is, who has seen, who has actually kept our correspondent from the legacy trend. Thank you very much, Mr.
Yeah, good morning to our viewers, wherever they're watching us from, and to the fellow panelists. Thanks for having me on the show.
Last, an expert on Mozambique, Saxon Zima. You know, it is very difficult to pronounce Zimbabwe name.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, panelists, and good morning, viewers.
Thank you very much, Saxon. We have very bad news on the African continent. And last, let me return to the general headquarters to give rule of law and order on the show. none other than Miriam Ogutu, our senior presenter, anchor, a journalist herself, an analyst. Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. There you are. Take it away, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor, for that. Indeed, it's quite a sad day here in Kenya, in Tanzania particularly, and of course in the continent of Africa, as we had said there earlier on the other show, that Magufuli indeed was a leader to be reckoned with in this continent. And so we continue to send our condolences to the people of Tanzania, and our wishes and thoughts are with you during this time of mourning. And of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of Kenya, in his capacity as the East African chairman leader right now, came out and issued a statement there earlier, and also in his capacity as the President of the Republic of Kenya. All right, and so we turn on to our topic of right now, and that is how prepared is Africa in times of violent conflict. And Doctor there has laid the groundwork. And as we know, Africa has a very high prevalence when it comes to civil wars. And I'd like to understand from Mr. Maganza, why do you think this is the case?
Thank you very much for chatting with me. This is quite interesting. The topic is quite interesting because we find out that in Africa, there's a lot of conflict that is taking place. But actually, before we can try to find out the solution to the conflict, what really are the causes of the conflict? So according to some scholars, they say that there are what we call horizontal inequalities in countries or in societies. And then which they say that the first one is economic. When we talk of economic, it means we talk of assets, income, as well as employment. They say secondly, there's the social horizontal inequality, which is education, health, and housing. Third is political opportunities and power. And lastly, that is the cultural status, which includes customs, norms, and languages. Right now, when we look at this, we find out that it is the country which is responsible for those horizontal inequalities. And then if a country cannot be able to solve those horizontal inequalities, it means Africa as a continent won't be able to come and unite, because a country on its own has failed to unite its people because of those different inequalities which are engulfing that particular country. And so, what can we do? We find out that this horizontal inequality is okay in all dimensions, as I stated earlier, because violent conflict will always be likely. Mm-hmm. Let me take back to the Mozambique issue, as which we are using as a case study. We find out that in Cabo Delgado, it's an area which is very rich in natural resources, which are needed by the world superpowers. But one thing I noticed is that most of the people who are living in that conflict area are not benefiting from those resources. And then we find out that there is now an armed conflict in that area, and that the government is trying to cool down that conflict. But unfortunately, some of the people in that particular area have been absorbed by the insurgents to become fighters against their own government. Why? Because they'll be told that you're not benefiting from what is available in your own land. And so, which means you're going to fight for what belongs to you. Or that would be in a conflict. Uh-huh. And then the other issue, the American government comes and says that we want to train your army. But we still have the African Union, we still have the African Force. Aren't there other African armies which are able to help the Mozambican army train its people? Who has armed the insurgents? Who has trained the insurgents? Who is arming the insurgents? And how sincere is America in training the Mozambican army all the way tens of thousands of kilometers away from Africa, from Southern Africa? And then it is coming to train the army to fight who? Meaning to say that we know the conflict in Libya. Who armed those the armed bandits who were there? And then the conflict is still there. And then somebody says that I'm coming to train and help those people. Meaning to say, we know in Africa there is no free lunch. When they come, there is something which they need in return, because they know that if they help, they are going to benefit something from that rich mineral rich area. And so they know that by helping the Mozambican army, they are fighting those guys whom they have trained before again. And so, meaning to say that conflict will continue for a long period of time. when that conflict will be in place, they will be looting the resources from that particular area. And then all those people who have been recruited to join that, in the end, either there will be statistics in death or maimed, and they will never benefit anything from that system. So what should we do? My opinion is that those horizontal inequalities are what should be addressed by nations first. Once we have been able to unite the people, as President Kagame has once said, that the most important thing in any country for you to win the hearts and the trust of the people is to unite the nation. After uniting the nation, it is easier to succeed in any programs which you intend to do for the people. And so you will find out that conflict will become minimal, and it won't be a very big challenge for a resolution of conflict if it ever comes to be. And so that is my humble opinion, that we make use of our own available methods of conflict resolution as a country first. There should be equality for all in terms of economic, social, political, as well as cultural. Once we put a level playing ground in those areas, obviously conflict will be minimal. In Nigeria, if we look, for example, we find out that they are the Islamists, the ISIS, the so-called, whatever name they give themselves. It's on religious grounds. That is cultural, meaning to say they want to impose whatever they feel is theirs. So they believe that their religion might be superior to other religions. And then the Christians also believe that they also belong to a religion. What about the traditionalists? Minor conflicts lead to major conflicts. And so it is up to those governments to make sure that if it is on religion, there should be that freedom of religion, so that no religion will be taken to be superior than the other. If it is sharing of resources, let's make sure that those resources are equitably distributed, so that the people or the communities in those areas where those resources are available, we talk of oil or whatever, let's not find out an area which is abundant in oil, the people are extremely poor, but those multinational companies are the ones who should benefit from that oil. Only the things which the people can get is employment. That is if they get employed, or else they'll outsource labor rather than using the local people to work on those oil fields or coal fields or gold mines or whatever it might be. It is us, Africa. It is our African leaders who have to unite their people first, and then we will deal with the conflict. Because any foreigner who has to come has to deal with what we as Africans have done for our countries first, and then we'll be able to deal with the conflict today. I stop at this moment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maganza. And yes, you brought in the question of the U.S. just the other day said that it will be training the Mozambican army there to try to help it in curbing the insecurity there in the north in Mozambique, and especially in the Cabo Delgado area. And I don't think that doing this for the interest of the people of Mozambique, because as we know now, the leading companies there in Mozambique, that including Total from France, also Exxon Mobil Corporation, is a U.S. company and is one of the biggest multinational oil and gas corporation headquarters. It is headquartered there in Texas. So they're coming there to actually protect their own interests, which is why when they come, I mean, yes, that could be one of the reasons as to why. And so because they're a company there is interested and is one of the key companies that explores and is involved in the gas and oil exploration there in Cabo Delgado. Abigail Mupambi.
Thank you for Miriam. I think, hello?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Miriam. I think basically I agree with Mr. Mangaza. When we choose to fight as brothers, as kings, then will get the opportunity to pick everything that will be falling. And by the time we finish the fighting, we will realize that we have been actually running on the negative, remaining with nothing. So this is the situation. Coming on to the issue of the sincerity of the U.S. to in the conflict in Cabo Delgado, in Mozambique, They have never been sincere. Look, the very other agencies, including Amnesty International on the other party, I was just reading, they will also be giving a statement accusing the Mozambican government of human rights abuses, of all sorts of this jargon, as they try, as the military is trying also to curb the same scenario. On the other hand, the master to that Amnesty International, the US, will be saying we want to assist the Mozambican military. So you realize that we are always kept on this chaos, we are kept running, we are kept pointing at each other, while in real terms they will be chasing their own very own interest. And of course, we come on to say, where is SADC at this point in time? Where is the AU? I understand Mozambique has been seconded into the member of the security sector at AU. But to what extent are they going to use that to quench the situation in Mozambique right now? So you would trace back and begin to see that a little fire, if it's not dealt with at first, it will grow into the bigger flames. Mm-hmm. This is the situation in Mozambique. It used to around Frelimo and Renamo be spectated back then, soon after the independence of Mozambique in 1975. Just in 1977, there was a civil war. And of course, after settling on that, after making all peace efforts and the peace talks, etc., to what extent does also the government of Mozambique manage to honor such peace settlements? To what extent that the opposition, Renamo, managed also to honor such peace settlements? So this thing starts within us. It starts within us as the people right now to try and talk of peace talks in Mozambique, when the Renamo itself has got a division of the military junta within itself. So you begin to see that each day the conflict is actually increasing. The fire is growing bigger by the day. So I think as Africa, as a people, we must begin to introspect within ourselves and have our own homemade solutions. This issue of hiring NGOs, hiring the US, allowing these external forces to come in pretense they want to assist, I have never managed to buy into that rhetoric, because they are the very same systems that are funding these other NGOs to also sing an opposing narrative. On the other hand, they'll be pretending they want to help. So they want to keep us running up and down, pointing at each other without an amicable solution. And the question goes, where is SADC? Where is the AU at this point in time? I submit.
All right, thank you so much, Abigail Mupambi. They're coming to us all the way from Zimbabwe. And one of our viewers here from Mozambique, Sudanio Jivandas, one of our very faithful watchers here, he's saying it is easier to talk about those issues. One should ask why Magufuli never made any comment regarding the conflict in the south of Tanzania and north of Mozambique. Why do you think that is so, Saxon Sveen? Saxon. Okay, Saxon is not there, so I will go to Professor Jared Onyari.
You want me to respond to the question of our viewers?
Yes. Magufuli was quite...
Miriam, I have said before, and let me just for the viewer to hear me, that we still continue to send our sympathies and condolences from Punchline of Africa. We are on the morning mood. And we should be concerned on how to lay John Pombe Magufuli to rest. That whatever he did not do is not here to answer, so we cannot be able to answer for him. Mm-hmm. So let him just join us to mourn and say that the people of Tanzania may be able to get the peace that surpasses all the understanding, Miriam. Mm-hmm. This is not the time to say that John did not do this or did not do that. I wish if he was there to listen to what Dr. Masanga said. That's the case, Miriam. We are now discussing about the conflict of Africa and whether Africa is prepared.
All right. Thank you so much. But
and we are in Mozambique, Miriam, and I want to associate myself with what Mwangas and Abigail have said, Miriam.
All right, Prof. So
you know, as I do, Miriam, that I love the continent of Africa. I have got passion for the continent of Africa. I wish well for the continent of Africa. I look forward for the day, Miriam, when we will be united and have the dream of the Pan-African leaders. And the recent one, which the late Muhammad Gaddafi was thinking about, we should be able to have the United States of Africa, even have a bank for Africa, and even have an infrastructure for Africa. But the dream did not come through, Miriam. Miriam, you know, in areas, Miriam, yesterday we were discussing about the conflict of Kenya between Kenya and Somalia over the maritime boundary at the Indian Ocean. Miriam, I have said before that the continent of Africa is facing an unprecedented time in the history of the world, Miriam. That all the continent and the people from outside, Miriam, are facing the continent of Africa. So that simply that they want our cheap labor. You can see how many young people are being shipped to the West to go and be even shoe shiners even when they have got.
So let me just pose this question in line with what we are talking about here in Mozambique, Professor, so that you can continually respond to my question. We know a lot of issues that have come from that area in northern Mozambique, Cabo Delgado in particular, is the people in the communities that were removed so that these multinational companies can come in and settle themselves there. They feel they have not benefited from these great investments. They were forcefully displaced, and as mentioned there, one of the key companies there is Exxon Mobil, a corporation from the United States, followed by Total and others, and they're exploring gas and oil there. And now we hear the U.S. is sending its troops there to train the Mozambican army on how to handle the issue of the militants. And we know from the reports that we've been getting from Mozambique, a lot of young people have actually opted to join the militant group in the hopes that they'll be able to drive these people away who have come and occupied their lands, and they're not benefiting from whatever it is that they have set up there. How would you respond to this issue?
Yes, there? Miriam, you always go ahead of me, and that's where exactly what I was coming. Then my next sentence was that. I just
brought to you quickly so that we continue.
I wanted to lay the basics why that conflict is there. Yes. It is when you have a conflict, that's when people can be able to understand, Miriam. So basically what I'm talking about is the resources. The oil and the gases, Miriam. And Miriam, you know, as I do that, good governance, Miriam, talks about that you involve people. You consult people. You participate. You allow people to participate on, Miriam, what you compensate people if you want their land, Miriam. You can't come and, Miriam, you know, the cultural history of the people, how people are attached to their land, where they have buried their ancestors, Miriam. You know, we are all Africans, Miriam. You cannot come in our area, Miriam, and then you remove, and you must even compensate even with our graves of our departed relatives, Miriam. So, Miriam, from where I sit, Miriam, you go to Gabo, the Delgado, Miriam, you remove people, you don't compensate for them, and Miriam, you expect them to clap for you. So what I'm trying to say that, Miriam, there's a calculated move on Miriam, for the people from the West and outside the continent of Africa to come to Africa for the resources. So Miriam, from where we sit and Panther in Africa, we want to say that, Miriam, for heaven's sake, Miriam, consult people. Tell people there's a resource here which has been found. We want to exploit it, make use of it. It will create employment. It will create infrastructure. It will take our country forward, Miriam. That is what you do to a country, Miriam. But now, Miriam, what people are trying to do, they are taking care of the interests of the investors. And you render people homeless, Miriam, we will fight up to the last man.
All right.
I submit.
Thank you so much. We also joined this morning by Gugu Nkube, all the way from South Africa. Gugu, it's actually a few minutes to afternoon here, but it's still good morning. All right, she's left the conversation, but she shall be joining very quickly there. I'll go to Tawish from Nairobi. I don't know, what do you make of this conflict in Mozambique, and if at all you've been following?
Very well, thank you so much, Miriam, and the rest of the panelists. I think, first of all, I really want to associate myself with the sentiments made by my fellow panelists in this program by saying that the first thing we need to do as a people in this continent is we need to stop living in denial and accept that we have challenges. And how do we then confront these challenges? Is by being sincere and honest. What are the things that are pushing our people into these conflicts? We need to begin from there because, again, if we just start asking ourselves, how are we going to solve this conflict without understanding what are the origins, what is the cause of this particular conflict, we will not, by the end of the day, find this a long-lasting solution to the conflict that we continually experience in our continent. And I think one of the panelists there has mentioned about the interference from outside or external forces who, to some extent, perhaps have taken our leaders and some of our prominent or elite people hostage. They are taking advantage and also using the same people to even mine and take our resources in our countries or in our continent. And in the end result, you find our people get aggrieved and they end up engaging in this particular conflict. So how do we go about it? First and foremost, I think we need to understand where or what is the cause of this conflict. By doing so, we'll be able to find a solution. Secondly, I think we're also failing in terms of how do we resolve these conflicts. We are looking at a generated resolution instead of looking into the way of dialogue and reconciliation. You've seen what, for example, has happened in Tanzania today. May his soul rest in peace. I mean the demise of President John Pombe Magufuli. We are having people who are actually laying blame on the late president that he didn't do this and that, or perhaps he didn't unite the people. That is not important for now. I think what is important is for the leaders who have been left behind to think about how they're going to unite the people, see what kind of shortfalls that maybe they experienced during the time of President Magufuli, and how they can move with that moving forward to see how they can unite people. If at all President Magufuli in his policies maybe did not do the right thing in as far as COVID-19 is concerned, what is it that the remaining leaders can do? Can we come together and think about the way forward so that we do not leave our people hopeless and thinking that maybe we are lacking leadership, we don't have any direction moving forward. By doing so, people will resort into their own ways of doing things and eventually it will be harming our society. So we need to look into it from that perspective. Miriam and the rest of the panelists, I think conflicts in Africa have become a normal thing time and time again. But we do not want to say that we cannot find a way forward or a way out of this conflict only if we become sincere, I beg your pardon, if we become sincere and honest with ourselves that we need to find the root causes of these problems, we confront and see how we can give solutions to the challenges that our people face.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm really trying to stay clear of, Tanzania right now. They're mourning there, and we respect that. But the vice president there, when she was making those announcing the death of the president, I was hoping after she was done, she'll be like, okay, however, now go on and start wearing your mask and wash your hands and sanitize. But let's not get into that right now. All right, I'll go to Jevan Karanja. I don't know, what do you make of this conflict here in Cabo Delgado in Mozambique, and what do you think are some of the underlying causes of this conflict?
One, Miriam, is that conflicts are all over the African continent. Some are being pushed by the external factors through their NGOs mechanisms to ensure that they destabilize some states in Africa, especially the states that are rich in minerals and resources, because we know Africa is quite rich in terms of minerals and some wealth rich in minerals. Therefore, that's a factor. Number one, that contributes to all this kind of contribution. Number two, we have the issue of leaders who have been held hostage by the power of money, so that they can cause conflict, so that they can inflict their people to sufferings. And when you do that, the people are easily misused by militias and groups that cause violence like Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram. Therefore, when you look at the issue in Mozambique very well, is an issue of the government and the resources and the people around the area not being compensated, not having a project that reflects to their needs. Because, Miriam, these projects need to have and create employment. Therefore, the government should ensure that they tap the younger generation to ensure that they are productive, they have somewhere to work, they have some money in their pocket. So to avoid this kind of misuse, or to be used by other groups to cause violence. Therefore, I see the issue of economic suffering, the issue of unemployment is something that causes the young people to engage in this kind of violence. Therefore, the government should ensure that the young people are protected and they have they are engaged in terms of economic pendling of every country, so that they can be productive.
All right.
Miriam, also, we need as Africans to ensure that we love Africa and we make African priorities to be our first thing, so that we avoid all these things and to avoid being misused. Africa is great, but it will be more great when we have all the Africans come together with the leadership in place to ensure that we protect our interest before we put interest of those people who come to invest, or the external people, or the UN, or any other body. We ensure that our African interest is a number one priority. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And from the conversation we are having, I think from what I'm gathering is perhaps the key, among other issues, perhaps which are underlying causes of the conflict that you see there in Mozambique, is the issue of people not being involved, the locals, the local Mozambicans, especially in the Cabo Delgado area, when the government did not do enough to sensitize them on the importance of having these people there and what that will mean to them and their economy. Of course, that has not translated, but maybe the fact that they feel they were left behind when it came to these projects there, and of course they suffered a loss of their lands and all that. So that is just one of the causes there, but among others. Doctor, what do you think is quite what is driving there the conflict in Mozambique, the underlying cause? Doctor?
Yeah, thank you. Miriam, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I have listened to all the panelists and I've picked out 3 points. Seriously, you want locals to participate in what? They have their wealth. Mozambique is one country which is governed by Frelimo. Has Frelimo forgotten? And I picked the point of Abigail. Frelimo seem to have forgotten where they came from. That most of these things have been forgotten. Abigail, you have a point. We forgot what to do for and to deliver for the people of Mozambique. Renamo signed an agreement with Mozambique, with Frelimo, but they forgot that they represented their grievances and they must safeguard that area never to come back into this chaos. Another point that I see, which Magufuli is gone, we are going to bury him. And one of the viewers has said, why did he not talk? I'm not talking about a dead man. He can't answer now. But if you were listening to our first discussion, which was very interesting, you are digging a road to Ruvuma, Nachingwea, when the other part of Mozambique has no connecting road to reach Beira. Then what are you doing? What was the intention of these NGOs that came to Africa, to Tanzania, to remove the lapset from where it was and take it to Tanga? Then they disappeared in that region. But the most serious question that Magaza brought out and Tawish is this: are we prepared as Africans to avoid the conflicts? How do conflicts come? How? A tender is given to only one company all the time. And the one company is the one benefiting. It creates a conflict. Those in power subject appointments and other things to who knows who, a crony. If you don't know you, if we know you, it creates a conflict. That is not a Muzungu. It is not a white man who has told you to forget about Miriam or Abigail or Saxon. It is ourselves. It is ourselves. In Kenya, for example, the president said, wear masks. You know, COVID-19 has become a conflict trigger. It can trigger a very big conflict. People said, why do we wear masks? We want to see the real dead body first. In Uganda, the Ugandan man just does it a very, very smart way. Police are given instructions, if you don't have a mask, you are forced to wear it. Or if you run away very badly, you can run away very nicely. So the enforcement is there. We have seen the thing gone down. In Zimbabwe, people have agreed that the disease exists. They are prepared. How prepared are we in case this pandemic now that is coming next phase, which is very dangerous, which everybody is saying it is very dangerous? How prepared are we that it cannot cause a conflict? In final state analysis, East or West? I don't know whether, Miriam, you are still picking me.
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor. Continue.
In final analysis, Miriam, conflicts are triggered. The Mozambican conflict is part of the Al-Shabaab, which was funded by Western Hemisphere on oil grounds. You mentioned one company called Chevron. Is it Chevron?
Exxon.
Exxon.
Yes.
That is
US
it.
Company, yes.
You know that is the same company that is involved in the Indian Ocean oil blocks. That is the same company. And I was telling you a few days ago when we were dealing with Somalia, that East or West, you put an American judge to make judgment, he rule in favor of Somalia. Because that's the company which first paid money for the survey in the Indian Ocean. So it is us leaders from Africa who created this conflict, because we don't go back to the people for local participation. Why did the people of Cape,
Cabo Delgado,
Cabo Delgado, whatever it is, why is it that they decided to allow Islamists to arrive in their territory? Where was the government? What was going on? Had there been the rule of law had broken down? Their grievances. Who is funding these guys? Who has a map? Who knows that Cape Delgado has got a lot of minerals? Who knows? There must be companies. That company Exxon, that company Total Oil, and I want now to disclose to you that it is Total Oil that is behind most of those incursions that you see. I'm telling you, when Qatar comes, Qatar has no drilling machine. Qatar has no pipeline. Qatar just comes to put the money. But Qatar drills for Total Oil. Their oil in the Middle East is finished. Believe me or not, now that strong leaders like Magufuli are gone, that region could become a heavily infested, bigger war that could affect Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Malawi, and the whole of East Africa. So we have a problem at our hands. how prepared are we? On that question, Miriam, we are not.
All right.
I want to answer you, we are not. We are not even prepared. Have you seen? We are not even prepared to receive the news of Magufuli's death.
Oh, we've been preparing, Doc, for that.
No, at least for me, I prepared. But most people were not prepared. Some people are not, you see, there is a preparation in a positive way and a preparation in a negative way. You and I were prepared that we are worried about Tanzania. From the time we started reading this Tanzania 200, Tanzania 400, I even told you at one time that let's now just pick one country and talk about it, because those reports were worrying us. But there are some people who still say, where is the corona? How prepared are we? Maybe the people of that Cape Dalgo were also asking, where is this? So we have that mindset. What kills Africa is mindset. We fix things in a wrong way. And believe me or not, we trigger conflict ourselves. Yeah, we trigger. Look, go now. Look at the conflict. Look at the way South Africa is handling its vaccination program. The vaccination is here. And Miriam, guess what we are told?
All right. We seem to be having a problem with your connection, Doc. So maybe once it's clear, we will come back to you. Right now, I'd like for us to go to Ambassador Maina Ghana, who's joining us, I think, from Europe. Ambassador, it's afternoon here. I suppose it's morning there. How are you today?
Hey, very good morning, Miriam.
All right.
Good morning to the panel.
Okay, very well. Welcome to the show. So we are looking at the issue of how prepared is Africa in times of violent conflict, and we are having a case study of the ongoing war in Mozambique. And I'm sure you've been listening to what the panelists have been saying there. What have you picked?
Well, you are talking about how prepared we are.
Yes.
The fact that we are fighting every day, so mean we are prepared, my dear, to fight. So anybody who tell you we are not prepared for the conflict, mean we are not prepared for the solution, yes, but for the conflict we are prepared. Because to rise a conflict in Africa, we don't need anything. We just need 2 or 3 things to start it. But the issue is, what is the cost? We are just talking about the effect now. How we find out the cost of the problem? For me, I will never be on the effects. And the cost of the problem is what? When we go back again to Mozambique long ago, we are blaming, first of all, the colonial masters and the international community Exxon. But when we want to evaluate, I will ask the panel that what is the responsibility of Mozambique and what is the responsibility of the outside world? Let's go to the percentage, Miriam. Can someone give me the percentage of the responsibility share on this problem? Maybe Dr. Masanga can help us. Dr. Masanga?
Yes, I will help you indeed. I'm very good at helping.
Yeah.
And I've always been able to help. And I like the attire that you have used today.
That's not
I
him.
hope you also tell Buhari
Doctor,
to help us.
There's somebody,
that is
you are
another,
talking to someone else, Dr.
that is one
Masanga.
of
That's
our
not
viewers.
Ambassador Maina,
That is
please.
one of our viewers who has joined. That is one of our viewers who has joined and who wanted to have an input. So I'll go to him after I'm done with.
Because I thought he looked like.
No.
Sorry.
That is Megan. That is Megan.
You know my big screen went down, and I went on another.
It's okay.
Let me help you quickly.
1 minute, please. Yes.
You are right. Very right, Mr. His Excellency Ambassador Maina. You are very right. We have a very big problem, Bwana. You know what? We spark this problem ourselves. 3/4 of this problem is the people of the government of Mozambique. So let's accept.
So let's assume that maybe 60% of the problem belongs to
not
Mozambique
60,
government.
not 60. Let me tell you, brother, it's 90%.
Okay, 90% agreed. Have you guys understand? We as Africans, every system of colonization between France and Portugal and English is totally different. Because if in order for us to confront a problem and fix it, we as the African, we need to study the way these people colonize us, how they brainwash us. How can we go about it now to understand the way we can implement a system can work for us? Any country colonized by Portuguese, find out, Dr. Masanga, the population are very slow to take a decision. Sometimes they don't even know how to take a decision. You can start from Guinea-Bissau, you can go to Cape Verde, you can go to Angola, this Mozambique. Go and study very well. They are not like English people that they can stand up directly to take the matter on their hands. They train them, they colonize them by waiting the bread in the morning. They did not teach them how to do a bread. Number one, always I'm telling Dr. Masanga, we don't have to blame first. We have to come back to understand exactly how this thing has started. Now, getting to the solution, if you have discovered any Portuguese colony to take a decision is very, very difficult for them. Starting from their leaders, Dr. Masanga. I don't know if everyone agree with me first in Africa. Now, going to the population, is the people that are always waiting something coming from the sky, like the way they are expecting God to come, on the land to help them change things. They did not teach them how to take their responsibility. Some of the things can be solved by themselves. They are expecting somebody to do it. This is the situation we are having in Africa. Conflict will always come if we did not find the real cause of our problem. Conflict will be there for the next 50 years. That's 100%.
All right.
White people will colonize us for the next 150 years, either we like it or not. Except one thing. Let us find a way to make sure that now we can take our responsibility in our hand.
Very well.
Some of the things, do we need the Western colony to come and do the roads to us? No. Do we need electricity from the Western colony? No. Do we need to build the school the Western colony have to do for us? No. Do we need to build a healthcare system waiting from the West? No, we don't need that. But the moment we play victim, someone will manipulate us. If Dr. Matanga tell me he is hungry and he want me to give him food, I have to give him the rules how to follow in order for him to get my food, either he like it or not. Or he can go and farm to say that I don't need anybody food, I know how to farm, I know how to feed myself. So when you are expecting something from me and you don't want me to give you the roots, it's not going to work, Miriam.
All right.
Now, the situation as the conflict will come, yes, for the next 50 years.
All right. Thank you.
I submit.
Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to bring in our viewer who has just joined us now, and I'd like to know from you, and you'll start by telling us your name. I'm sure you've been listening and you've been following this conversation, and the question there that Ambassador Maina has posed, who is to blame and what level of responsibility should the government take there? And Doctor agreed with him that the burden laid with the government of Mozambique, who seems to not have done what is supposed to do, and that's why a lot of young people there find themselves very vulnerable, even joining this militant group. So, can you say that the government, for its lack of doing what it's supposed to do there and showing good governance and good leadership there in Mozambique, has created an enabling environment to even see the extremist groups right now there in Mozambique thrive?
Yeah, thank you so much, Miriam, the other panelists. First of all, it is very dark day for Africa. We are sending our deepest condolences for the unfortunate death of I can say the hope of Africa, to the Tanzanian people and to the rest of Africa. So we lost a great person. So what I was thinking is that can we cherish his legacy. You know, sometimes Africa gets, after every 100 years, Africa gets a true leader. So can we cherish his legacy? Can we have more programs about what he did for Tanzania, what he did for the other African countries? And we wish him good luck in the hereafter. My second point, Miriam, is Mozambique. You know, and it is really complicating. I was in Mozambique like few years in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. The funny part of the story is how can Al-Shabaab, a small ragtag militia in Somalia, can fight in Mozambique? It is not logic. You know, sometimes we Africans, I mean the learned people, especially the panelists, the professors, sometimes we have to be a little bit wise. I don't think Mozambique has an Al-Shabaab issue. This is, I mean, it is really complicated. We know there is underlying...
By saying complicated, what do you mean? What are other factors?
When I say complicating, I mean like in every African state, in every African country, we have underlying problems.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, I can hear you. So
thank you so much, Miriam. Yes. So the thing is like in Mozambique, if you look at Mozambique, maybe Professor Matsanga knows more than me. Mozambique is one of the fastest growing countries in Africa. If you look at the political dynamics of Africa, every successful African state comes a problem. So we need to also ask ourselves, where is this problem coming from? I don't think Mozambique has a religion issue. If it was like a rebel group, if it is like something else, at least it could be logical. But Al-Shabaab fighting in Mozambique, I think we have to do a little bit digging into that.
Okay.
So
I think let me come in quickly because thank you very much, Ahmed, my dear brother. I've been telling you this is the type of ideas we want you to bring on this television. And you go on hiding in Sweden.
He's back.
And you get to talk to me. Please,
yes.
Stockholm is not very far. It's near here. Thank you. Let me teach you. Cape Delgado is, you know the Sofala Empire? The Sofala Empire. The history of the Sofala Empire. The Portuguese carried some people from Mogadishu, your place, from Kismayo. They went on dropping these people slowly, until the people were delivered where? In Cape Delgado, or whatever.
Cabo Delgado.
Capo Delgado. You know, I'm not Portuguese. I don't like
the way they behave. Go ahead.
Now, that is the history. The link. Why intelligence networks worldwide are linking the Al-Shabaab operatives in Mogadishu and the Horn of Africa is the question, the tactics, the manner in which they have acquired arms, the presence of oil and hot gas in the Beira Triangle and that Cape Delgado. Now, how did they arrive there? There is a sizable number of Muslims in that area. 3/4 of them are actually Muslims. And when you look at that place, and then you look at Mutwara, which is in the southern port, where the French, you remember French were digging a road. You and I kept on laughing That a road to where? You are digging a road to where? What? The French 400 men mercenaries came into Tanzania to dig a road to Mtwara, Ruvuma, Kingwea, to where? When the other place, there was no road coming up. So the people there started saying, what is all this? Every time it looks like there is something here. We are seeing new companies coming. The company that Miriam has talked about called Exxon Oil, which is an American oil company, which is the same company that has brought us and me, you and me, almost not to see eye to eye. It is the same company that paid the first money for the blocks in Indian Ocean to be feasibility study. That is the American company, I'm telling you. The first company, before the Norwegian company came in and Norway paid money. The first company that had paid its money was an American. So we have a problem here. As much as we speak about Mozambique itself, we have a problem here. Now, the poverty rates, the neglect, complete neglect. People have been neglected. People were neglected. The southern part of Mozambique, Cabo Delgado, yes, now I got the name, I will not make a mistake again. If you look at that, that is where the Portuguese offloaded some slaves. Slaves like you and me. Because at that time, we didn't know whether you are Somali or I am Ugandan eating matoke. You know, all of us were being offloaded from inside the countries in Thailand up to Ujiji, then Goma, Chigoma, then Dar es Salaam, then Morogoro, then put on the ship by either Portuguese or the Arabs. The slave trade in East Africa took place that way. So Somalis, most of the people in that region are Somali. Half Somali, half Mozambique. They have a religion there. Now, how did Al-Shabaab arrive there? My brother, it arrived there through Qataris companies. Qatar needs that hot gas. Qatar, Turkey, the UAE, they have been busy. America, they have been busy. You know, the natives saw them coming, shipping up. All of a sudden, people, ships coming, anchoring. What is inside here? Qatar supports. And I'm telling you, you can check on these international intelligence systems. That's why some countries in the Middle East start off relationship. They pay money quietly. They have the dollar money. It is a question would look like, how does Al-Shabaab get new uniforms?
I absolutely agree with your analysis, Professor Matsanga, and thank you so much. It is a pleasure to have you. You really educate the youth. I mean, the young generation of Africa. You are a wealth to us. I really agree everything that you said. Mr. Masanga, this is what happens. You know, we go back to the history. This is what really strikes me. You know, we always talk about the underlying problems. We go back to the history. Africa was, before even colonization, we have been made as slaves. From slave, we graduated to colonization. When you go back to Berlin Conference in 1880, I don't know, 6 or 4, I don't remember. There is no, exactly. There is no new order. It's the same order. So these people will always come with new strategy, but the business is the same. So I feel bad as an African when my professor here tells me that a country like Qatar is smaller than even Mombasa, very small state, can exploit Africa, one of the biggest continent in the world, 1.something billion people. I mean, Mr. Matsanga, what are we talking about here? We don't understand what type of politics we're discussing here.
Okay.
Thank you so much, my brother. You get the point now. Thank you. That is the point.
And Abed Ahmed, you have knocked your point. Therefore, you have now also found another revolutionary. Let's change it. Let's change it. Why are we not changing Africa then? Why are we not changing Africa? Why don't we refuse to be intimidated? When we talk about bad leadership on the continent, you come and hammer me. Maina, especially Ahmed, you have hammered me several times about Somalia. You have a president with 2 passports. He has not renounced the other one. He told us he took it back. I have asked him for a paper, a letter to prove that he took back the passport. He doesn't have it. He's leading Somalia. He's not leading Somalia in the interests of Somalis. He's leading Somalia in the interests of the Americans, that oil company. All this fight between Kenya, you have been in Kenya, you are educated in Kenya, before you left to go to Stockholm. Has Kenya ever discriminated you? No. But look at the tension coming in here. So, Africa, I agree with you, Ahmed. It needs a renaissance. Let me take this thing off. It needs a renaissance. We need a renaissance. We need to change the way things work. We have been, we have diamonds, but we don't even make a ring. We don't make one ring, but we have diamonds. We collect those diamonds and take them to Belgium. Isn't it? Is there a factory for making a ring in here? Mm-hmm. Show me one factory on the African continent that makes rings for weddings. And yet it is we Africans who look for rings for our weddings. I agree with you. Professor Onyari will tell you, time has come for a change. Time has come for a renaissance, to rebuild, to rebirth, to become a new Africa, to look at the way, why is it that we were created the way we were created? You and I are black people. Why can't we also give our own territory? Why can't we hold our territory? Why can't we have pride in us? Mister, you are a professor, you are a doctor in Africa. You come with a strategy. The government of that African country tells you, let's get a lawyer who is white to represent you. You have seen that. How many Somali lawyers are on the panel in The Hague today? Do you have any? Today, the Somalia and the Kenya case winding up in a few minutes. How many are black Somali lawyers who know where Mogadishu is? Do you know that those white lawyers come and ask you, where is the River Nile? River Nile source is in Cape Town. And you are the student writing the thesis for them. We have become clerks in our own continent. We give them the research. They go and win and get more money. We are paid peanuts. Now I have got the real spirit of you. And Ghana Maina, can we make Africa? Can we change Africa for a better generation to avoid this conflict? Can we return to our founding fathers? When Gaddafi wanted to create something for us, the same Africa, do you know the country that voted?
May I get in, Doctor?
Yes.
Yes.
The country.
South Africa voted for him to be for the resolution.
Yes. Ahmed, South Africa voted to kill. Jermaine, don't keep quiet alone if there is a point which is nagging you. You come in like Saxon has come.
I'm listening.
Yes, South Africa. Everybody on the panel can come in, jump in. South Africa came and voted to go and bomb Libya. Germany withdrew from the bombing of Libya. If South Africa had withdrawn, the resolution would have collapsed. Gaddafi would be alive, maybe in exile somewhere. You have seen the way Africa operates.
My question is, what is the next, Dr. Matanga?
Aha, nice.
What is the next, Professor Onyari? What do we do now to change the game?
Before we answer
I think the next, Ahmed, have I satisfied you a bit?
Yeah, 100%. But Mr. Masanga, the other panelists have a very great point. We are just going through the problem.
Yes.
He asked what is
the next, Professor Onyari?
All right. No, before Professor and the rest comes, I think Mr. Maganza had something to say, so let's allow him an opportunity to do that. And then
yes, Mr. Maganza.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I like the heating up of the discussion that at least we are talking of the African Renaissance. For sure, we will be able to achieve the African Renaissance. The first, before we be able to achieve the Renaissance, is to look at the causes of the conflict and solve them. If we are not able to solve the causes of the conflict in Africa, we will never be able to achieve the African Renaissance. As Ambassador Maina has talked about, that it will take us hundreds of years in order for us to achieve that Renaissance. We have got the resource, as Dr. Matanda was saying, that we have got the gold, but we cannot add value and the beneficiation to it, just turning it into a ring, so that it will be able to sell a complete product. But we send it to another country, the Western country, to value add it and benefit it, so that then we come and buy that product at a higher price, something which we have produced. We cannot cut diamonds which we produce, and many other minerals which we have. We have got our own oil, but we send it out of the country to other countries. They process it, and then we buy the petrol and diesel instead of processing it in our own countries. Right now, as I said earlier, that we have got those challenges in our African countries. We talk of, as I said, that what we call horizontal inequalities. Have we managed to do away with those inequalities in our African societies so that there will be an equilibration in the ways of life of our people? We still find out that the poor blacks live in what we call the location in those former colonies, and then the rich still live in their own areas. We still have the rural impoverished areas. You talk to some of the panelists talked about lighting lights in rural areas. By now, rural areas in Africa should be having lights. They should be having tarred roads and everything of the sort, having the amenities which we need, having pipe water. But we still find women, when we look on television, watch on television, we see women carrying buckets in Central Africa, West Africa, East Africa, Southern Africa, walking 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 kilometers to go and fetch water to bring home. But we are now in the 21st century. What are we supposed to have done? That is something which we are failing to do, which means it is up on our leaders who are sitting on their laurels rather than developing the country. They are still going back to the colonial master to seek for monies, the monies which they misappropriate. It's high time that we have got to make use of our resources. It's a high time that the resources have got to be shared equally among the citizens so that there will be no conflict. It's a high time members of society, despite our different cultural values, our different languages, our different religions, it's a high time we regard each other as black, full stop, and that is the color of our skin as Africans. And then we look at each other as equals. And then don't look at each other beyond the barriers of the artificial borders which have been put upon us by the Westerners.
All right.
And then we'll be able to help each other and see that development gets to the people. We promise people at election that we're going to do this and that for our people, but we fail to do that the moment we get into power. So that is what raises the conflicts. The answers are with us, not anywhere else.
Thank you
Our
so
leaders,
much.
if they stick to their electoral promises, definitely will find conflicts will be a thing of the past.
Thank you so much. Our answers are with us, not from anywhere else. Thank you so much. Very well said there, Mr. Maganza. Saxon, as you've not been able to say something. I don't know if you're there.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
The background. Let me just give a background to the Mozambican conflict. Mozambique has been in war since 1975. Who has been sponsoring the wars? We know it was the Rhodesian Front and the South Africans. Soon after independence, the northern province, where there's the conflict, in the central province, the likes of Bay Area, they've been dominated by Renamo. And who has been funding Renamo? We know it's the West. 2011, Mozambican discovered gas. It's not only Americans who are mining gas. In actual fact, the Chinese have the largest reserves in Rovuma. We never had a conflict. Come 2016, Chevron and Exxon, Chevron bought a concession from ENI, an Italian company. 2017, we have got the ISIS. Come to think of it, who is the fact of the political differences and Cabo Delgado being a Muslim-dominated area, it was easier for the infiltration to take place. One, because of the political difference, the people are naturally anti-Frelimo. They've been voting for, that is from Nampula, Niassa, Beira, and part of Chimanika, have been voting for Renamo since 1992. And the discovery of the gases and the coming in of the Western, we started having conflicts. Coming to the thing of it, the Americans want to train the special forces. The main reason why we've been having the conflict, we've got Dell, who is the vice president of ExxonMobil. We know history of Dell is an intelligence man from Pentagon. He's there, he's in Mozambique, a conflict starts. Come to think of it, now they want to train the Mozambican forces. The main reason is not to train. They want to provide their own special, the Marines, to loot the resources in Mozambique. Mozambique is making a mistake by allowing to be the training. Because what happens, the Mozambican forces have been known to be a ragtag army. They defect once they're offered more money. What will happen to those trained Mozambican forces if they shift focus, they change, they become rebels themselves? They are better trained, more vicious. I mean, it's a game that has been played by these guys. And the Mozambican government, like Governor Mena said, the Portuguese are slow to think. Come to think of it, in 2015, the Russians told the Mozambican government that there will be terrorism. You need to invest in counter-terrorism. They ignored. Come 2017, there is terrorism. They said, no, we're going to manage it. There are hidden hands. There's a hidden agenda. And the reason, if we don't act, if African countries ignore this, Mozambique, Malawi, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe will have a problem with terrorism. But the base will be set in Cabo Delgado, moving towards the central Mozambique, where Renamo is also based. Africa needs to come into renaissance. The only thing we can venture into renaissance is to change the mindset. What are our scholars talking about? Our scholars are pro-Western. They think everything Western is perfect. How many of our government have implemented Western economic policies? All of them. Look at ESAP. How much did it destroy the economies of Africa? This tells us we can only change the renaissance when we start sponsoring our African ideology. Change our curriculum. Teach our kids. We are African. There's only one continent that we have. Let's fight for our resources. Meaning beneficiation and equal distribution of resources. We can solve our problems. The problems in Africa can be solved by only Africans. Don't anticipate the West to solve our problems. The problem of terrorism was created by the Americans. If they ended the problem in Middle East, we've got ISIS there. In Afghanistan, we still have got the Taliban. So don't anticipate. We should anticipate any solution from these guys. We need to sit down and think and check their history and come up with our own solution. I submit.
Thank you.
Can I jump 1 second?
Yes.
Okay, quickly make it short, please. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will make very short and clear. Thank you so much. First of all, we all agree that we need a renaissance. But the question is, where are we going to start? As an African, we don't control our education system. We don't control our media. We don't control nothing. I will give you a very simple example. We take China as a study case. China used to be embarrassed like Africa 50 years down the line. How did China did it? I watch Robert Mugabe's speech in African Union in Addis Ababa, where he said there is even military people in our continent. We don't even understand why they're there. They are occupying our land militarily, and we're not saying nothing. I will give you another example. Look at this Kenya and Somalia conflict. How long was Kenya and Somalia sharing border? Million years. We never had conflict. Where conflict? We need to ask ourselves, look at this Al-Shabaab we're talking about. They don't number more than 10,000 Somali boys. They're not more than 10,000. But now these maritime resources come to play, and I will mark my word, when these superpowers share this, when they agree to share these resources, that day will be the end of our Al-Shabaab. We are played like chess. We Africans are played like chess game. We agree as the educated people of this continent. We need renaissance. But where are we going to start? Look at, before I submit, look at Zimbabwe. I used to live in South Africa. Zimbabwe was in sanctions. Who sanctioned Zimbabwe? Europeans, thousands of kilometers away. While South Africa is there, Mozambique is there, Botswana is there, Namibia is there. Because of what Europeans say, no one wants to have nothing with Zimbabwe. I mean, I don't know, but I submit anyway.
And Miriam, because of time, there are other people who want to speak.
Yes, we are getting our last submissions there. So Professor
Yes, who want to speak. I agree. Ahmed has impressed me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That's
Professor,
all I wanted to say.
Professor, go ahead.
I want to say something because I want to check out for another meeting at 1.
Very well. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have keenly and attentively and carefully listened to my fellow panelists. Let me just say that today I have been so much impressed the way Dr. Masanga said with Ahmed and Ambassador Maina. And they are asking me, and I heard Ambassador Maina saying, what do Africa need to be done for Africa now? And I've seen one of the scholars, one of the panelists here trying to frame the reads. And Miriam, let me just ask you to say, I'm going to ask some few questions. Ahmed, where do you live now? Ambassador Maina, where do you live now? Dr. Masanga, you are in UK. Have you ever asked yourself why? Then, have you asked yourself for how long are you going to live where you are living? And I always say, Miriam, and my fellow listeners and my fellow panelists, time for organizing is over. It is time for us to start organizing. And Dr. Masanga, may God give you the grace to live long, because at least you think about the continent of Africa. You have given us an opportunity and an avenue where we are going to venturate. Let me tell you, you are asking what needs to be done. This is what needs to be done. The fact that we are attending and talking to the problem and the challenging facing to the continent of Africa, we have done our part. Then I proceed to ask ourselves that we talk about the Demsel strategy. And I'm happy because of the conversation we had last time, and I can now see yourself now thinking as a true Pan-Africans. And we need to team up. You have said, you have made a huge and a phenomenal statement, and I wish the people of Kenya and the people of Somalia were listening. that we have coexisted for so many years. You touched me last time, you said your grandfather fought for the independence of Kenya. So we are one people. Why must we go to the Indian Ocean and fight over the resources which we have not used until God created? So it means some forces elsewhere are after the continent of Africa. And as I submit to conclude, let me just say this. What Africa needs, Ahmed and Maina, is redemption strategy. Redemption strategy has been used in Kenya. It is working. Ahmed, what do you do with people who you don't agree with? Do we kill them so that we leave the war with you? We have to coexist. You know very well. And that's why I started by submitting that what people are fighting for is not that they like Africa. It is Africa is the only continent with resources now. The oil in the Middle East is getting finished. Which is the next frontier? The continent of Africa. What do? You scatter and gather. As we are fighting, they are taking. I have like the huge question you have asked. Which country gave sanctions to Zimbabwe? It is not Namibia. It is not South Africa. It is not Zambia. It is not Mozambique. It's not Botswana. It is some countries far away. So what I want to say that Dr. Ahmed, we have to keep on talking about corruption. We have to fight corruption. Even if we are not going to succeed in our lifetime, we must talk about it. We must hate it and we must detest. We must embrace good governance. It is because of bad governance that you are not living in Africa. You ask a question, who you are asking, you are never wanted. So Dr. Masanga and others, the stone which starts roaring keeps on gathering momentum. More people are going to join us. We are going to ask ourselves, the things which divide us are fewer. The underlying core issues are not even there. Africa is one. We did not have boundaries. We shared all the resources. Some characters went in Bahrain in 1884. They decided to split and partition Africa. And we have to come to say that and ask yourself, you have talked about Al-Shabaab. 10,000 of them causing confusion in Africa. How do you find the ISIS in the Democratic Republic of Congo? How do they get the sophisticated weapons? So the conversation is Maina and Ahmed and my fellow panelists. What we are doing is right. Otherwise, even some of these leaders, they broke their mind, but as we speak, they open up and hear what they are talking about. Okay. I submit.
Thank you so much. And it's interesting you brought up the issue of sanctions, especially in Zimbabwe. Our opposition leader in Tanzania had approached the EU, asking them to sanction Tanzania. I think under the same things that Zimbabwe has been sanctioned on human rights abuse, stifling of freedoms and certain very important freedoms there in Tanzania, as we all know. And the EU told them whatever is happening in Tanzania does not warrant any form of sanctions. So think about that. All right, I'll bring in Mopambi. Abigail.
Is Alcatraz.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Miriam. And the question that probably I'm tempted to.
Go ahead.
I'm tempted to respond to. Hello?
Go ahead. Make your final submissions.
I think the biggest question here that I was getting is what from now? And I think the redemption strategy is the way to go. And I've been hearing this issue of saying our leaders must change, our leaders must do this. But what is your role as an individual? We want to zero in and say this issue of conflict involves both parties. And the issue of neocolonialism can only work with submission of our very own people. To what extent our people are late and educated into understanding these dynamics? I think we need strong and vigorous civic education on the ground so that our people, they tend to understand and appreciate the issue of protecting their own interest beyond the brown envelopes. So I really am tempted to go back to think even the issue around the Zimbabwean sanctions. It's an issue that managed to grow from within here. We had a section that was tempted to lobby for sanctions against our own country, against their own brothers, against their own mothers. So this whole issue works with a two-sided equation. So we need to do something as a leadership. We need to do something as communities and begin to value ourselves as Africans and begin to center the African interest in everything that we do. So once we have that, I think we are able to move. It's a movement like we are doing right now. We need to cascade that to the ground. We need to go beyond this platform and be practical on the ground so that we wage a proper revolution to own back Africa in the fullest sense that we can do. I think this is exactly what we need to do.
Thank you so much, Abigail Mupambi there from Zimbabwe. Alcatraz.
We want Africa back.
We want Africa. Yes, bring back Africa. Africa left us. I'll bring in Alcatraz. Okay, he's not there. Our guest, give us your last submissions.
Can I jump inside? Can I jump in here?
Yes, it's you I'm referring to. Can you tell us? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yes. Sometimes it's really complicating. You know, this is what happened. We said like we need African renaissance. I want to give a few examples. We take Kenya as an example. I live in Sweden. I am a Swedish citizen. I'll give you a very simple example, and I hope Professor is listening. If I want to travel from Sweden to Kenya today, I can get Kenyan visa on arrival from Sweden. I can access 160 something countries having visa on arrival. But we Africans, we're talking about renaissance, and we are not even free to travel into our own territories. As a Somali, it is easier for me to travel to America, the next door Kenya. So what are we discussing? Are we trying to beat the bush?
Good question.
Yeah, I submit.
Thank you so much. It's very food for thought there. It's easier from him when he's coming from Sweden as a Swedish nationality there to access any part of the world. But we make it very difficult to even move across the continent of Africa. Okay, Samuel Tawish.
Very well, Miriam and the rest of the panelists. I think from the discussion we have had this morning and mid-afternoon is that the conclusion is that we are our own worst enemies. Because again, when you look into all these things that are happening in our continent today, Dr. Masanga has rightly pointed out that we continually want to blame the West or the outside forces for the problems or challenges we are facing as a continent. But again, are we looking inwards? What is it that we are doing wrong ourselves? Because by the time these people come and manipulate us, by the time they come and infiltrate us, it means we have allowed them, we have permitted them to do that. And they're doing that at whose expense, or they're doing that at whose benefit? I think those are the things we need really to look into. Another thing is that we do not want our riches, be it diamond, be it gold, be it even, say, the iron ore, or those other natural resources to be actually a curse. They should be a blessing for us. They should be used to empower our people economically. They should be used to uplift the lives of our people, but they should not turn out to be a curse as it is today. Because again, we are seeing the main causes of conflicts we are having today in our continent actually generated through these natural resources that are supposed to actually uplift our economic status as a region or as a continent. But again, because our leaders seem to have been taken hostage, our people seem to have been infiltrated, they're actually using this for their own good and using the Western power conspirators to actually siphon these resources on behalf of the people who are supposed to be benefiting from them. Look at it this way. For example, why do we have people dying of hunger today in Kenya, for example? when we have actually a climate that is favorable to do agriculture. Today we are talking about adverse drought. Tomorrow we are talking about heavy downpour, where floods are going to cause a lot of havoc in amongst our people. What kind of strategies are we putting in place to ensure, for example, we are going to harvest this water and use it for irrigation? It's going to remedy the question of lack of food if you're going to use it for irrigation. But again, we are going to cry during drought season. We are also going to cry during the rainy season. What is the problem? It's because we lack leaders with the direction, we lack leaders with the vision, and leaders without a purpose for our people. And that is why you see now the Western power conspirators are taking advantage of that to come and now make people to fight amongst themselves. When we are fighting, it becomes an easy ground for them to actually do whatever kind of things they want to do against our people or against our wishes. Miriam, I submit.
Thank you, Samuel Tawish. Yeah, you've mentioned harvesting water. Let's not get into the conversation of the dams and the scandals we've seen in this country. It's a shame that we still talk about famine in some parts of this country. As a Kenyan, I feel very ashamed because I think we should be self-sufficient. But President Uhuru Kenyatta has that as one of his big four agendas. So I'm just hoping and praying that can be achieved. I'll go to Ambassador. I'll go to, please, if you can regulate Abigail there. I'll go to Ambassador Maina. Your last submissions there.
Thank you, Miriam. I want to congratulate our brother from Sweden who has said very important things that even the system we can travel among our African countries very restricted. That even the first blockage we have in Africa, that is number one. You see, me right now, if I want to go and visit Dr. Matsanga in Uganda, I need a visa. What is a big shame, right? If I want to visit Dr. Matsanga, I need a visa.
Hold on, we are removing. Sorry, we're having a bit of a problem there. With
now,
Abigail, unmute.
Unmute.
No. If you're asking her to unmute, she will unmute. You want her muted.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Now, the story about how the way forward. I remember we have assisted in one of the conference in a French country in West Africa. And the former French president, Sarkozy, said one thing that I know the African, but I was with him. Many people blame me. He said that African don't have story. And everybody was annoyed. So we asked him, can you explain why? He said, let me take an example, a country like Niger Republic. Every 2 years, Niger Republic come out to the whole world, say that, oh, this is drought, our people are dying with hunger, can you help me? We go, we buy rice in Vietnam and come and give to Niger Republic. After 2-3 years, the same story repeats itself. Are we intelligent or do we know what we want in life? If something has happened to you, if this Vietnam are very lazy like Niger, where do we get the rice to come and give you? He gave the clear, simple example that's why we don't know you in the story. You don't even want to take your own responsibility. If we are dying with hunger in Africa, for us, it's a big shame. Dr. Matsanga is my witness. It's a big shame that if we African, we die with hunger. We don't need do we need Western countries to give us food, Dr. Matsanga? No, we don't need that. So why we cannot take our responsibility inside of wasting our time blaming the West, implementing those little things first that we can be sufficient, we can talk. Number one. And number two, I'm talking about the problem that always we are blaming Qatar. For me, Qatar cannot be the cause of Africa if we want, because Qatar is a small village. Qatar is no bigger than even the Kampala city. So if we want to handle them as Africa, we will handle. They will never even come to Africa. So we don't have to blame them. And number two, our opposition leaders right now in Africa, we don't need them. We don't need political opposition leaders. They are just creating trouble. Everywhere in Africa, when you see those opposition leaders, they are the one going to the West crying and call it a Western country to come and put sanction. We need union leaders. We don't need opposition leaders. They are just useless in any country. You can count it, opposition leader from Chad, from Kenya, from Mozambique, from Tanzania, all of them, they are useless. You cannot tell me today this opposition leader in Tanzania will do better than the late Magufuli. I don't believe, because he has not done anything. You don't need to be a president of a country to build a country. The position you are taking, can you fix it first? Can you make it useful? And many of our opposition leaders have never had even a good position in their country. They have not done nothing. They spend their time always blaming, just blaming the government. Oh, the government has not done that. You was an MP, you was a minister. You have not even been able to fix your ministry. But you are talking about blaming a government. We don't need opposition leaders again in Africa, because those opposition leaders are the one who is conniving with the West, to bring difficulty in our countries. It has been proved in Mozambique, has been proved in Zimbabwe, has been proved in many countries. Those opposition are just wasting our energy. We need union leaders that can team up with the government to say, my brothers and sisters, where do we go wrong? How can we come together to fix it? Let us stop the blaming. Opposition leaders are just a puppet who spend their time to the TV to blame people. We don't need them no more. Those are the things in Africa we need to come and fight back.
Okay.
Africa needs to be restored, Dr. Masanga. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Maybe just before Dr. Masanga and maybe Professor Nyari come in, allow me just to say
our time is really
just for 30 seconds.
Okay.
Just for 30 seconds or 1 minute at most.
Okay.
I think as Africans also we should learn to appreciate one of our own. We should learn to say thank you, to say that so-and-so has done a great thing. Why am I saying so? Because today in the African continent, you see people like Dr. David Masanga. Matters is not in Kenya, is not in Uganda, is not in Africa as we speak today, but is contributed a lot in seeing how we can highlight the plight or the challenges that the African people are facing through this very platform of Punchline Africa TV. How many of us can say thank you to Dr. Masanga? How many of us can really appreciate? It's one, created job opportunities for many young people, not only in Kenya, not only in Uganda, but in the rest, in the rest of the African continent. Is given this platform for free, actually using his own resources to ensure that we continually talk about the plights and challenges that the people of Africa continue to face. He continues to do this actually out of goodwill and out of his Pan-African spirit to see into it how Africa can actually be changed for better. So what I'm saying in essence is that we should also learn to appreciate our very own people. Today, if it was a white man, you will see people how they'll be writing every sort of information in the media or highlighting this, putting this on TV, that so-and-so, an American, a person with a white skin has come to do ABCD for our people in Africa. But today, because he's an African, he's a man with a black skin, we are not appreciating. So we need to begin from there. How do we address such kind of issues? We need to appreciate, first of all, also our people and the little contribution they're making to change the lives of our people and the great continent of Africa. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Tawish. I'll go to Mr. Maganza from Zimbabwe. Your final submission, sir.
Thank you so much, Miriam. My final submissions are that the time is now for a united Africa. The time is now for the Renaissance to start. And so it is up to our African leaders to make sure that they are going to start the ball rolling. And it's no time to wait for tomorrow. As the message is put across, as the message is sent across the African continent, it's time for our leaders to change, to stick to their policies, to stick to what they are supposed to do for the African continent. Let's move away from that. Colonialism is over. There's no more any country in Africa which is still colonized. We are all free. And so, which means let's not now put blames on the colonial masters, but it is now us as African leaders who are going to make sure that at least we have got to change so that our Africa gets to the desired level which we expect, which will equate to those countries which we got to when we need for assistance. Okay. Let's move away from the borrowing syndrome. Let's move away from the donor syndrome. Let's stick to what is Africa. Let's make use of value addition and beneficiation to what we produce in Africa, so that at least Africa, to those who were benefiting or looting minerals from us, they will know that we don't need no money to go there to buy what we produce in Africa, but we should produce for Africa. And then if we have got any extras, that is when we're going to export to the rest of the world.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Maganza. You're saying we're free, but are we really? I don't know if Jevan Karanja is still there.
Not there.
All right, Doctor, you can conclude for us.
Thank you very much, Miriam. In my final submission, and I want to thank all the panelists who have been here. I want to thank especially Mr. Ahmed from Stockholm and from Somalia. Thank you very much. I want to thank Tawish. I want to thank Professor Abigail Saxon and the rest of you. So many things have happened here now. Look at ourselves. What were what was the formation, the founding fathers, what made them to come together to say, let's unite? There were factors. One of the factors, they wanted independence. The second factor, they were black people. Yes. That's why there is youth. They were black people. They wanted independence. The third factor is they wanted to see what is new. 66 years down the road, the last part of it, to see what is new, we have seen. We got education, we speak English, we speak French, we speak Portuguese. As Maina said, the worst part of your travel is in a Portuguese country. You might not, even when you are having a drink in Maputo, you have a problem with people who are selling you the drink at the counter. I've been to those countries. But what can unite Africa today, in my submission, is this. Platforms of this nature are going to create awareness. This platform is very important. We need to safeguard it, to enlarge it. People are going to start speaking frankly like that. A point that touched me is the point of an African entering Kenya or Uganda or South Africa, and you have to fill huge forms. Miriam, you know the countries in Africa which cannot even allow you and me, to go there. If you don't have a Stockholm or British passport or Swedish passport, you can't enter. And these African countries that tell us, unite, unite, unite. I am very happy that my country, Uganda, gives Mr. Ahmed entrance without reservation. Uganda is the only country in the world that gives Somali nationals and Turkey entry without on passport. You get your visa at the entry point. So the final thing we can do is this. We have made mistakes from morning, from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We erred, Miriam. If a leader is sick, the leader belongs to the people. Let this example not be repeated elsewhere in Africa. Why are we insecure when you have a democracy like that of Tanzania? You can't be insecure. But perhaps Tanzanians, being conservative as they are, they wanted first to make sure that before they announce or they make any move, there was everything stable. And their stability and the unity of purpose is together. I want to thank them. I want to thank all of you. I want to take this opportunity on this morning, great day, when we are mourning. We shall have another show at 8 p.m. Tawish. Don't miss that show on Matanga Africa Perspective. And it will be great right on Zoom. Let's mourn further. There's aspects. Why is it that the man did not do one thing that would have left the legacy, the best legacy, to tell his people to have masks? Why? That has remained in everybody's on the panel, even myself. I don't know. Why? Not because he had not gone to school. He went to school. He's a PhD holder. But he didn't tell people that the disease is real. Are we having Maji rebellion? It couldn't be. The hey couldn't be. It doesn't come from those areas. He said openly, but all of us make mistakes. Now he's gone. Let's learn from this mistake. The Tanzanian press spokesman was busy condemning Kenya. Yesterday, I think you saw the man analaumu Kenya kabisa. Anasema magazeti ya Kenya, mnasema huyu mgonjwa, mnamuona wapi ako mgonjwa. You know, we have so many problems here. Someone is sick and you're really sick, and now here you are. You think you don't say you are not. It can catch you from anywhere. Anywhere. In the studio, in the house, in the toilet, in the car. This disease is real. So please, thank you very much, my people. I want to thank you. This has been a very great show. Ahmed, we are, I don't know whether your number, you didn't send me your number. I sent you my number the other day.
Yeah, of course, yes. Mr. Masanga, let me just say this. Other panel.
This was submission, last submission.
Yeah, my last submission. The other panelists say that how can we broaden this TV station? I mean, how can we make this platform a bigger platform where we invite, you know, in every subject we're talking about, people who are expertise on that. As the diaspora, how can we contribute for this program to be successful? This is where we start.
So I will give you my number. Or the studio can give you. What is your number then?
I can.
I don't know. I
cannot. Don't say it online. You could just text.
To say the number online. I don't know.
We have the number there. We have. You could direct messages, private messages. Yeah, don't put your number out there like that. All right. Doctor, conclude. All right. I'll maybe get your point. Thank you so much for that. So
thank you very much, Ahmed. I will call you by messenger, and then we exchange the numbers.
Thank you.
All right.
Then, thank you very much, Miriam. God bless you. God bless everybody. This is a sad day for us. We started very early in the morning. We have done our best.
Very sad day indeed.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for watching. And I will conclude by a comment. One of our viewers here who has been very busy, participating in today's show. It has been said, his name is Sidonio Jivandas from Mozambique, and he says it has been said that where there's no vision, the people perish. Blood vision of what things would be resulted from the failure of nationalist leaders after the attainment of independence to switch from their role as freedom fighters to that of economic modernizers. Most leaders had been envying the opulent lifestyles of their oppressors, and once independence was attained, focused on making themselves similar opulent. Thank you so much for your time and all the comments there. I shall be back here later at 3 p.m. East African time with the latest news across the continent of Africa. And of course, we shall continue to cover that loss of Tanzania's President John Pombe Magufuli, and we shall see how the world has reacted to that very sad news. My name is Miriam Mogutu. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now. The government of Kenya is keen on the development of social economic infrastructure to support the realization of the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The ambitious infrastructure projects are aimed at opening up the country for business and bolster productivity, particularly in the agricultural, manufacturing and the service industry, as this would bolster employment opportunities. Part of these critical infrastructure projects include the ongoing 27-kilometer expressway linking Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Nairobi's Westlands. Upon completion, the expressway will exponentially reduce travel times within Nairobi and thus help the country save man-hours, which is being lost in the traffic jams on a daily basis. The Lake Victoria Port Modernization Project to increase cargo handling capacity of the port and to increase Kenya's bilateral and multilateral trading within the region. The expansion of healthcare facilities to facilitate fruition of the country's universal healthcare coverage under the Big Four agenda. By speeding up movement of people and goods, the government is aiming to promote trading through reduction of travel times and costs.